everybody. Happy Friday. Hopefully your week's gone well. So just coming on, doing the Friday live stream like usual. Just getting everything set up as well. So let me know, Bobby, when you're good. Just give me a nod and then I'll put it on there. All right, so let me hit the button here. Evening, Bobby. How's it going?
Good evening. Very good, thanks.
So we got our first legitimate, it actually feels like summer warm day for once.
Yeah. The air conditioning went down in my place, so I got a fan on. Is it loud? Can you hear it?
No, it's all right. So basically, the fan going down in your place means you're basically living in my place for the last 7 years. I've been doing that for years. Yeah, I got the fan behind me. I've got it just. I've learned how to strategically angle it so it goes into the office and moves the air around.
Gotcha.
Actually, I'm going to. I bought it already. I'm slowly starting to add some things around here. I've tolerated for years, but I joke with Carlos Senior. It's like no, I've hit the point in the. I think it's lethal weapon. Because there's loaded weapon and lethal weapon. I forget which one is the one that has, I want to say Danny Glover in it.
Lethal.
Yeah, so it's the one that I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
So basically that was, I told Carlos, says, no, I'm too old for this shit. That's it. When I was in my early 30s, I was more tolerant of it. Now in my later 30s, okay, I'm a lot less tolerant of it now. I would like to be comfortable.
Understood.
That would be a good change of pace. But just for starters, to keep it simple, I'm going to add a ceiling fan up here because I've got a little light fixture up here. I just ordered a nice cheap ceiling fan. At least it'll be a light. It'll replace the light, but it'll let the air circulate a little bit here around here as well, so it'll be good.
Yeah.
Little small, boring things, homeowner things, but I figured it was about time I get that done.
Yeah, I need some Freon topped up, and it always happens on a long weekend.
Oh, yeah. I was chuckling because I was on a text message thread with Dave and Steve and a couple of those folks, and it's starting to get warm and a little humid there. But Dave's over in Minnesota, so heat is relative. So when they got a little heat and humidity, so to convert it to Fahrenheit, we're showing there. We're I think today hit 90 and felt like 97, like at the warmest today, depending on where you are. Over in Oakville area, that's about where we got to, and it was it was definitely warm, no question.
Yeah.
So quickly, I'll grab the comments here. So Paul was the first. So good evening, Paul. Good evening, Yannick. Hockey. Looking forward to hanging out. Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah. Fun fact: this is where to go on a Friday night in Dawson Creek, BC. Very fair. Appreciate that, Paul. So good evening, Jeff. So here, consuming fewer and fewer hobby content, but this is one of the main stops. Appreciate that. Hobby content is becoming boring. Yes, that's fair. That's fair. We touched on that a little bit last week because I was saying that the content is slowing down a little bit, but also, to be honest, there's not that much to talk about because a lot of it is the same stuff. You're just kind of rehashing the same topics over and over again. That's part of the reason I enjoy having a little bit of fun going in no, we'll talk about stuff if there's something relevant, but for the most part, it's just hanging around and chatting. That's kind of why I say to you guys in the chat there, it's no, if you want to chat about different stuff, let's do that because we can talk about hobby stuff, and there's always stuff going. From a collecting standpoint, nothing has changed or slowed down for me. But I've definitely felt the difference in the hobby content because I used to consume a ton of it. It's not that I've actively tried to avoid it. It's just I look at it and go, okay, are you bringing anything new to the table? The answer is no. Well, if I already watched this, or you're doing an interview, and I've seen this person interviewed 46 times, I don't need to watch it the 47th time. You're not going to bring anything new that I haven't seen already the first 46 times.
Unless it's me.
Oh, of course, without a doubt. But the thing is, we at least are willing to bring different topics. Sure. On the channel here, I made a video that I published last night where I brought in Benjamin Graham. It's I like doing it from time to time, stuff like that, because it's a little bit more fun. But I went let's focus on the psychology side of it. I'm not focusing on metrics. But I brought in Benjamin Graham because he was famous for creating security analysis. He is a calculation guy. And towards the end of his life, he basically said, I had to keep changing it. I don't even follow those formulas anymore. And they asked him why. I'm paraphrasing, but effectively he said, because the market keeps changing. If I just followed these blindly, I would go down the wrong way. So it wouldn't work.
I did listen to your video, yes.
Yeah. Good. But that's where I try to bring something else. I brought in a journal from 1976 on economics where they interviewed Benjamin Graham. You're not going to get that on another hobby content channel. I doubt it. And if they do, hey, I'll give them the thumbs up. I'll give them their props, but I don't think it's going to happen. So anyway, Hockey says, showing off. They're all enjoying the gun show where you got the cut off sleeves.
Yeah, it was really warm, and I was going to change, and I went whatever.
No, it's fair. Hey, listen, when it's warm and humid, I understand. Usually I've got a stack of these polos, but they're all very breathable. But it's like otherwise, no, just keep short sleeves, especially if you don't have the air conditioning. That's the thing. It's not heat, but when you're inside, humidity is the part that I'm a guy. I was born in Panama, and my birthday's in July. I like heat. Heat is not an issue for me. Humidity though makes everything uncomfortable. There's nothing you can do. You can't get tolerant of humidity. Usually nobody can. Sanders said, "Or do you have a permit for those guns?" Absolutely. No, not so much. Here you go. Well, Antonio Inoki cards see a spike after last night's Dark Side of the Ring. You would think some notoriety. So let me take this one seriously for a second. In theory, yes. I would say though people are cooling off on a lot of these things. So maybe a little one. What I would propose, bringing it up might help a little bit. But Antonio Inoki is still like, if you're a wrestling fan, you know who that is. But it's still kind of an obscure name. It's a Japanese wrestler who's well known in Japan, who has a little bit of notoriety in North America because he did do some stuff. But at the same time, also, you're taking a niche and then you're taking a smaller niche by saying, who watched Dark Side of the Ring? Well, I would watch it because I enjoy that series. I enjoy the documentaries they do. But how many people actually caught it? And then how many people would run to Antonio Inoki before they'd run to Hogan or The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin or a variety of other people? So is it possible? Sure. But it might be a smaller spike than you might expect compared to like if they decided to do another interesting documentary on The Rock or Stone Cold or one of the bigger guys. They already did the Stone Cold one recently, so I don't know. You guys would probably know better than I if you've been paying closer attention to it. Did you see a spike after the Stone Cold one? A&E had, or Macho Man. Macho Man was huge. He had one for A&E as well. He was one of the biggest stars in the world through the 80s.
Was it A&E or biography?
Well, A&E,
on A&E.
Yeah, and A&E, exactly. And you can also see it on the website. You can also watch it streaming as well.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I watched it that way. It's fantastic. It was very good.
Much better. I didn't know. I was just kind of watching it with my wife, and she remembers those things, but not the in depth behind it. And
the convenience was tremendous. Like I appreciate being able to just go to the site and pop it on, and then I can have it in the window and watch it. And it was well done.
Very well done. Very well done.
So I enjoyed
it. Information, good backstories, personal interviews, really well done.
Yeah, and the Macho Man has an interesting backstory. Like he's got an interesting backstory. Not always, sometimes a little dark, but he does have He does a very interesting story. If you enjoy checking it out, I would highly recommend them. Some of them are well done.
Yeah, my friend has one of his tassel jackets.
Nice.
Worth a little bit of something.
I liked when they talked to the guy who made some of the outfits. I enjoyed it. It was like this great revelation. It's like a guy who makes like clothes for pimps, and it's like, did you see the Macho Man? It's like, yes, correct. This is shocking to who exactly?
Well, I guess the funniest part was they mostly made a lot of their stuff. You could see that. I forget who it was. Was it the I can't remember. It's just on last week. They made their own masks. They made their own, and then they threw them away or they got rid of them. And that's how other people ended up with them, because it was like they weren't even famous at that time. So, like there's no nostalgia in today until later on. Then they realized, oh, that's the first one I wore. That's the first mask I did. This is the first pair of boots. Those kind of things. Yeah. So,
well, the thing is, for a lot of those guys, until they do make it big, keeping the gear is just, it's carrying additional stuff around. Because a lot of their life is nomadic. They're moving around from place to place, especially if you go back to some of those older school guys who went from territories. So you got to travel somewhat light. You're going to carry around years and years and years worth of gear. You're going to keep it in your home. Like, what are you going to do? Some people today, I would say more of the wrestlers do keep more of their gear. They're a little bit more cognizant of that. Sure. Or maybe if they become really big, they'll actually keep some of it. Where down the road, they can be like, okay, for charity, I'll auction this off or whatever. Like there's some opportunities and they can definitely do that. And it's great and it's fine. But yeah, the old school guys, it's like, no, like I used it until basically I wore it out or I didn't need it anymore. And then, or I got a new gimmick and then I moved on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. It's the same thing that happens with like old school baseball players or hockey players or whatever, who might have had equipment had they really wanted it, but they're like, nah, whatever. And that's how that stuff gets out there.
Are you watching the museum one where they're acquiring stuff for the museum?
I want to catch up on that a little bit. I haven't gotten around to it.
That's
I hear it's
really
good. I hear good things. Yeah, I've heard some good things. So Paul's here, got his comments. So the Macho Man. I always enjoy doing his impersonation. He is one of the guys that people will mimic the most. A good old Macho Man impression, and it's very difficult to do well without just shredding your vocal cords. It's very hard to maintain that. Yeah, the guy seemed to be on the devil's dandruff. Yes, a little bit. It was the 80s. Although it was funny, in one of the documentaries, they basically flat out said he was like on ecstasy with his girlfriend, like when he had his midlife crisis in WCW. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I was like, I remember that. And yes, this place. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sad ending to his wife there.
Yeah, well, I would say that was more unfortunate timing than anything else, because I did, from what I saw, it seemed like he had reached a comparatively calm part of his life. Like he had gotten to a stage where it looked like, no, he's just going to kind of enjoy the fruits of his successes over the years. He was a legend. He had even made amends with the WWE. He was doing commercials and stuff for them, and there was potentially a good partnership that they could have made some money doing some commercials and some appearances and legend stuff, and it would have been all right for him. I think he would have enjoyed it. Because he was still a character, and he could still turn on the voice and do the Macho Man liners, because he did that. They had they did the thing for the action figures. I think it was the Moments or whatever. They brought him back, and he actually did a promo for the figure. And this is the Macho Man where now he's fully grayed out beard and everything. But as soon as he starts talking, you know exactly who it is. There's no question. And he even starts doing the thing with the hands and the thing with the fingers, and like he's got it down to a science where it's like, yeah, you haven't done it in years, but he just flips the switch. He's the Macho Man. Done. So like he could have still done that without any problem, and people would have loved it. They would have eaten it up, and he could have done the show circuit signing, doing autograph signings, all kinds of stuff. He could have had some fun, and it would have been much lighter work without the stress.
Yeah, I just watched him in a movie, Ready to Rumble. You know that
Are you thinking Ready to Rumble, or are you thinking was it because it was Spider-Man? I know Ready to Rumble was a WCW movie. I don't know if he was in that movie.
Oh yeah,
he might have been done with WCW by the end of that. I don't remember.
Yeah, it's got who's in it? James Caan's son.
There's a bunch of people that were in Ready to Rumble. It was a WCW movie. Hey Dave, if you're good, just nod. Yep. Mr. Archer, what convenient timing. We're speaking of some wrestling. You may know a thing or three. Was the Macho Man in Ready to Rumble? Does that sound right to you? Because I don't remember him in that one. I remember a ton of wrestlers in it. A ton.
No, he was right at the beginning, and they were in the variety store.
In Ready to Rumble, huh?
Yep, right at the beginning in the variety store, and him and the King tag teamed against the cashier and Macho. So
really,
yeah, right at the beginning. And then they were kind of wrestling in the store. Okay. And the store floor was like a mat because it was bouncing and they were flipping and doing all these other things. It was,
I just remember I remember explicitly. I remember his bit in. I remember him being in the Spider-Man. Obviously, is Saw whatever. I remember that thing. Nope. Bobby's bang on. It says here Ready to Rumble. I'm looking up his IMDb. So yeah. No, apparently he was in it. I guess it was a really quick cameo at the beginning because I didn't remember that one.
Yeah, it was probably about 20 minutes in, and he was there for about a minute or two. 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Well, playing as the Macho Man. Yep, it was a good role. Yeah, it was great. That's fair. Because they got in a ton of cameos in that one. Goldberg was in it. Everybody and their brother, who was a big player at that time, they basically got them all in there, which is surprising. But anyway, there you go. So anyway, with the good wrestling segue in, Mr. Dave, how's it going?
It's going.
Is it hot or cold?
We've gotten a taste. I've gotten a taste from the text message thread of your enthusiasm. I did enjoy. It's like Dave was explaining how he loves everyone, peace, love, and all that good stuff. Something to that effect. I think I'm paraphrasing, but that sounds about right.
Generally.
Yeah, exactly. I just got a kick out of it because I laugh whenever Dave speaks on those matters. I'm like, who do you think you're talking to, sir? But it's for different reasons. But there is a little bit of that thread that goes through. Look at you, Ready to Rumble in hand. Nice.
Does it even show a picture on the back?
Yeah, I can see the back. So that's the guy who played Jimmy King, and
he was great.
For his role, he did a good job. And
he's a good actor.
For his role, he did a good job. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I wouldn't go. I hesitate to call it a good movie because it was not a good movie.
It was a phenomenal movie. It was. You take it for what it is.
And did it also lead to the actual 3-cage thing being a match? And then David Arquette won the world title because of that stupidity.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got a serious issue with that.
David Arquette, he was screaming amazing. I just love it.
The greatest of ironies, though, later on, like not that long ago, like apparently David Arquette still participates in wrestling. Apparently he's decent now. Like it took him years. I was like, so you were WCW champion, and you were garbage, and now years and years and years later, I guess you decided to take it a little more seriously. But anyway, there you go. So remember the beautiful tribute the Ultimate Warrior did on his channel when Randy Savage died. Yeah, Warrior was in that era. Yes, it's in that era.
Yeah, he died too.
He did. But he's probably one of the few guys that he's Warrior. Randy Savage is probably the few guys that Warrior liked. Because he had a lot of issues with a lot of people until the very end of his life, where suddenly he was making peace with a ton of folks. Yeah. Because both those guys had a similar thing where, and I'll get to the next. This basically Sanderson Orr one is like steroids, tons of steroids, so many steroids. Randy Savage in his later WCW career was to steroids what Dave allegedly is to chicken sandwiches. There may be a connection.
But he was also a pure mesomorph too, so that always helps.
Yeah, but later on, but we're talking about in his WCW, in the earlier part of his career, he was in tremendous shape for his build, for his size and everything. In WCW, he was in ridiculous shape for anybody in their prime, which is to say he loaded up on 1980s Hulk Hogan vitamins that he found somewhere. He found the stash. Did some prayers, took some 1980s vitamins, and suddenly got a lot bigger.
Hey, Arnold, where's
Yeah. And part of that, though, is, and they did touch on it a little bit in the documentary. Part of it is because he started to accumulate some injuries. And because he was always a very athletic guy. For his size and his ability and how good he actually looked, he was smaller comparatively to some of the giants and those guys.
Sure.
But he was super muscular. He was ripped in his heyday. But he wasn't a giant. He wasn't basically trying to be with Hogan, but he could also go in the ring like Hogan and those guys couldn't. He could jump around. He could run all over the place. Well, as soon as he started having knee injuries and knee problems, he can't run around anymore. So what does he do? It's like, well, just get bigger.
Yeah.
Now you look ridiculously jacked because you can't move around like you used to. So you can still look imposing, but you're degrading in the ring as you're going along, and it's making it worse.
For certain.
Yeah, and then also you're having your midlife crisis. So you get your girlfriend at your adult dancer girlfriend, and interesting things in your life at that point.
It's a lot of good career information there for those boys.
Yeah, that's just it. I think they did a good job. I think it was reasonably. Take it with a grain of salt whenever you do a documentary like that, because again, it's kind of dependent on who you're asking, right? Mm-hmm. Because in the same documentary they had Hogan, and Hogan, of course, is friends with everyone.
Obviously not from the interviews. You can see who he didn't get along with. Not so many didn't get along with. A couple other guys too.
Oh no, for sure. But trust me, he at the end of his life, he still didn't like Hogan. Doesn't matter what Hogan's. The only person saying that Hulk Hogan made peace with Macho Man, the Macho Man made peace with him, is Hogan. That's the only one in the planet who's saying that.
Yeah.
You remember that Savage had the rap CD too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was Be a Man, Hulk.
Well, it would have been probably that in his day, he didn't have access to Lake Superior Dave. So he had to make it on a rap album. So he did what he could. If he had YouTube at that time, he might have been able to do a Lake Superior rant, and it would have all been taken care of. Wouldn't have required a whole album and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, there you go. Early 90s, he was off the gas while he wore the shirts. Yeah. The thing is, in the early 90s, though, his wrestling was still on point. So like from in-ring, still saw, because his last title run in the WWF was still really good. He was still really good. He could go in the ring. I think they tried to put him out to pasture too soon. Because in wrestling terms, if you're in your early 40s and you're in decent shape and you're not super injured, you can still go. Because it means you've got so much experience that you already know what to do. So you can make this whole thing work beautifully. And he was still in good shape and not injured. He got injured very shortly thereafter. Once he's got the WCW, you can tell, because when he first got the WCW, he looked the same as he did at the end of his WWF run. And then after he started getting hurt, that's when he started suddenly getting bigger and bigger and bigger. He hit the gym harder suddenly. He just didn't want to age. He didn't want to show that age. And
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh, I seen him. He was at one of the shows in Hamilton. He didn't look too good.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan was never a physical specimen.
Too.
Yeah, Hacksaw Jim Duggan was never a physical specimen, but he was a husky-looking guy who looked like he could hold his own in a bar fight. Mm-hmm. That's what he looked like. He looked like that kind of dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a throwback to classic wrestlers. Because the classic wrestler used to be this big guy that is like, well, you don't really want to get in a fight with this guy because he'll like grab you and like bear hug you to death because he looked like that kind of a dude who could do that. Later on, it was when they got obsessed with the aesthetics where it's like, yeah, but you're a bodybuilder with like this low body fat, but it's like, but if I poke you, you'll pop. So you're not actually good in a fight, but you look the part. You look like $1,000,000. If you stand there posing, it's great. You actually don't look like you should be fighting anybody. It's two different things.
Lots of muscle with no bone mass. Yeah.
Well, UFC is the real life example. There are certain guys who look like super ripped. They're not always the ones that succeed. But they look imposing, but then it's like, yeah, but they also get gassed immediately because it's like, in order to be that ripped, it means your body fat's really low. It means your energy, you actually shouldn't necessarily look that ripped walking into a fight because you might not have the energy to go the distance.
They usually don't because of too much muscle mass. It takes up the oxygen too fast.
Yeah. But that's why you see like go look at a professional boxer. Most of those guys are ripped during training camp. But then right before they finish their weigh-ins and do all that, they rehydrate. All of a sudden, they don't look quite as ripped. They don't look quite as veiny. Why? Because they're rehydrating. They're getting some food into their system. They need energy. They're about to go do something and punch somebody in the face. You can't be operating like you're going to do a stage show and pose when you're about to get into a fight. It's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get extra points for looking good with a double arm bicep. It's not gonna. That pose isn't gonna get you extra points.
Only Rocket Richard did.
There you go. Exactly.
I don't know if you know the commercial where it's a Grecian formula.
Oh, okay.
At the end of it, they go, Richard, 2 minutes for looking too good.
Nice. So good evening, Josh. So you go. Half Sergeant Doug was annoying. Yeah, I would say he did. He basically was a one-dimensional character. I always thought Hacksaw Jim Duggan I thought his character was that he got bonked in the head a little too hard with a 2x4. He's like, you're not very smart, are you?
Well, he walked around with that grimace and his eyes were rolling and
yeah,
he's just a crazy dude. And he was an amazing character. I have to say, quite a few of them were also as stupid or funny as they looked or were. They made the show so much better.
No, for sure. But I would question one thing, though. There's a lot of ones where I 100% agree with you. But can one of you tell me, what is Hacksaw Jim Duggan's gimmick? What is his actual gimmick? He's not a lumberjack. He's got a 2x4. He doesn't have an axe. What is his actual gimmick? What is it supposed to be?
He's just a crazy lumber boy.
You're seeing my point. It was like
from the bush.
In an era of gimmicks, I can't actually figure out what his gimmick is supposed to be. It's like you're just a dude with blue tights and a 2x4 who says "ho." I don't know what are you? I don't understand.
I can imagine it was like a McMahon somehow a rib to like upstate New York because he was from Glens Falls or whatever.
Yeah, he was a very patriotic guy. We know that he was very patriotic.
McMahon being Stamford, Connecticut. Guess what? You have to. That's the elite of the elite. Mm-hmm. So here comes this country bumpkin and the 2x4. I don't know if he just stole it from the lumber yard or found it by the railroad tracks or what. But and again, I guess that would be his play, sort of on like a Southern boy. That's like the trucks and all that stuff and the backwoods fishing and before Steve Kern came in as a Skinner, I'm sure that was Jim Duggan. Just hey, you're the sort of like the booger from Revenge of the Nerds, but not as like over the top.
Interesting. I'd be curious to see where he was hailed from, though, because usually what they would do is they would pick where you're from, and then where you're from would play into that. So if you were going to go with the country bumpkin thing, would you go from a place in the South? That would probably be the angle that you'd take on it. But like Hacksaw Jim Duggan itself was from Glens Falls, New York. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't know if that's what you went with. I'd be curious. And mind you, I'd be curious what is, yeah, here you go. So hockey, Glen Falls, New York. Yeah. Damn that country bumpkin from Glen Falls, New York. That's way south. Southern New York. Maybe not. I don't know what part of the state that is. So anyway, good evening, Victor. Just getting caught up here in the comments. But anyway. So aside from that, congratulations as well. Dave got himself a very nice card. I'll leave it open to when you get a chance to show it on your video. but congratulations as well directly. He got himself a very nice piece that is one of the tough ones, definitely from the era. You've hit on a lot of your big stuff though. It leaves you a handful of those top tier ones. How have you been making progress on your big checklist? Because I know you wrote it out.
I've got to, at some point, maybe this weekend, start looking through it, seeing where I've knocked some off. But I mean, I've got, I think, in like the top 20, I've knocked out, because one of those had 2 for the UD Prime Choice Reserve, because there's 2, the base and then the subset.
That's right.
I think out of the 21 of the top 20, I've got probably 6 or 7 so far this year.
That's solid.
Clipping along at a good pace, and I know there's a couple that go off this weekend, and I don't know, keep chugging. That's all we can do. That. Yeah. Hoping that stuff pops up, and hoping that stuff doesn't pop up all at once, because I don't like making choices. I like to get everything I can, but sometimes we can't.
Well, that's why I said though, like with everything else, for me, it's fun to watch, but like from a collecting perspective, nothing has changed. Stay in the course, just chugging along, looking for stuff. It's been kind of nice having a little bit of quiet, because it's given me time to work on some projects myself. I got a chance to do a little bit of sorting, got a chance to go through some stuff, and then also take a look at, because I've got my big player checklist, and then I'm looking at like playing era, and then I'm looking at like these little segments and saying like, okay, how am I doing on these? Oh, wow. In this first segment, I'm at 90% completion. The second segment, I'm at almost 90% completion. And then the third, so just outside of the 90s, in the early 2000s, from 2000 to 2005, I have crossed 50% of the checklist for all the Medanos in that era, which is 1,500 card checklist. So just crossed over 50% of that, because that's the biggest chunk. It gets progressively bigger as you get to the present, with more and more cards being released. So that is the first like really big checklist where it's like 50% is actually really good. It's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cards. So I was like, awesome. So I think, and then the other thing is I've been kind of mapping out what I want to do with the Instagram, because I show stuff as stuff comes in, but I was like, well, actually, let me have a little fun. I'll show a little rainbow here. And then I get to go to the archive, because I already had that one, but I was like, no, let me put it as a rainbow. I'll show the colors off, because it's kind of fun to look at. Stuff like that, going back at. Those are projects, though, that don't cost me any extra, because I already bought the cards. And sorting through the different things, just having my fun with it. But still looking for that stuff. But it's, certain items are expensive, not everything. So even this retraction, it's like the prices I'm paying are about the same.
Yeah.
That's why I picked that time to give that video for comps. It's like, just so we're clear, even the comps don't necessarily mean what you think they mean. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It depends. It's a piece of data. It's a variable. It's not the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be a few good deals out there right now.
I think there can be, because when it's an open market and people are really allowed to bid what they feel like bidding, then we find out the truth. And it's just one question: how badly do you want it? Some people want it more, some people want it less, and that'll give you the truth. That'll tell you the real answer.
Yeah.
I like the either that best offer, if we got a best offer on the auction, or the bids, because some people may value something more than you do, and that's all right. But if there's something you really want and something a couple other people get involved, then not necessarily that'll be the end that you have to sit there with the comp and be like, okay, that's the number one, and then because okay, now one person out of those 3 got it, next 2 go after possibly the next one, so on and so forth. Then you see these regressing numbers. At the same time, though, if those are key pieces, as we all know, some of those top tier pieces throughout the collecting community, especially in the hockey side of those 90s inserts, you're going to have all kinds of skewed numbers. It's not going to be something that looks reasonable. And like we talked about that run for the cup of Gretzky back, I think I don't even know when it was, January or February. I think it went for like 1625-ish or so. And now the precious metals went today for, what was it, like $12.50, I think, American.
Yep.
I think 1,500-ish, 1,550 Canadian. I wouldn't think that would cross over that $1,000 Canadian threshold, and then the Atomic
Mhm.
of Gretzky went for what, 2,400 not that long ago. It's like Run for the Cup has always been talked about as one of those top two,
Mhm.
and then the Atomic is about that 3 to 6. Precious metals right in there as well, but to the right collector, you bump that price to a point where you think, that's interesting. I didn't think it'd go that high, but then other ones are like, that almost seems like a deal, like the one I shared in the text.
But the thing is, and to your point, it only takes 2.
Yes.
That was why I used that example where it's something I had purchased. And it is an example where there is a condition sensitivity to it. I used an autograph, but I used an autograph where most of the copies are smudged. To me, that makes it less attractive. That makes it worth less to me. Because, like, I don't want a smudged copy. I was out of the market for it. I'm like, I'm not interested if there's a smudged copy. But I came across one that had an offer thing. I made an offer. I was able to bump down the price a little bit. I did not pay the lowest. Because if you take the different ones, but I did not pay the highest. The highest was the first one. The first one was like 2.5 times what I paid, and it's a smudge copy.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, my copy should be worth more than that copy, but that was the high watermark. So take that as an outlier, throw it out. There's probably another one that is a little bit cheaper. You can take that as an outlier if you want and throw it out. The rest of them settle in a certain range. But the first one sold for the most because it was the first one.
Yep.
The person who wanted to be first and wanted to get it wanted it more badly. Well, as soon as that person's out of the market, the next person wants it too, but not quite that much. And the good news is the third person didn't want it as much as the second one did originally, so it brought the price down immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, we reestablished the equilibrium.
That's where Card Ladder comes in, don't they? With the looking at the grade, looking at different things to, I guess, to officially okay the card, that it's that viable grade.
For the ones that have enough data points, they can definitely do that. But they're also picking the stuff that has the most volume and interest. Something like this is not going to necessarily appear on there. It's up to us as the individual to then go look. So I see your comments, guys. I'll get to them in a second, but I just wanted to finish off this thread. But the reality is that the reason I gave those examples is I said, you don't rely on this. It can be a useful tool. I've always said, I use it. I subscribe to it. I actually pay for the thing. And there are certain cards it's useful for. But in the example I gave, that card isn't going to appear on there. I have to do my own work. Well, the good news is I also did in a video, Terapeak's free. You can use this to go look up some completed for up to a year worth of completed auctions, which is actually a very useful thing. It's not perfect. You have to know how to search this thing properly to find the right stuff, but it's something, and it's free. It's a great price. $3.99. It's a great price. So there you go. There's a thing that you can use. If you're willing to put in a little bit of legwork, you can get some value out of that. So it's like, we offer alternatives. I'm not telling you to go buy any of these tools because for the card that I'm looking for, it wouldn't have been in either one of them anyway. So it doesn't help me. For this specific example, I had to do my own research and come to my own conclusion. And that's a good thing. That's how you do it. So quickly, I'll touch on a couple of these here. Hockey says, did you see the article where the doctor died of COVID? I did see that on Sports Collectors Daily. I haven't had the chance to look into it too much. Died of COVID, left behind a $20 million baseball card collection. I am interested because obviously it's a substantial collection with a lot of great stuff in it to get to that value. I'm sure I saw like a Mantle 52 tops and stuff like that. There should be definitely some interesting pieces. I want to look into it a little bit more, but I haven't done too much digging into it. Did you guys discuss the PWCC auction last night? Not yet. I do have a link for it. I'll touch on a couple of them, but if there's something particular that you guys are interested in, I'm not interested in talking about it as a whole, but there were definitely some interesting cards in it. That's for sure. And I'm more than happy to, because once the auction completed, I'm not interested in watching the end of those auctions, but watching the summary page where it shows the different cards and shows the final value, that could be interesting. And that's why having the summary page is a little bit more useful to me. So we'll touch on that in a second. And this is a good general question here. Is it fair to say that dumb money has left the hobby and it's mostly hobbies left? No. But the dumb money is scared. Some of them don't have a choice. They can't leave even if they want to because they bought too high. So they're going to be really stubborn. So the short answer is no. Expect them to come back if there's a little resurgence. Don't forget, we got the Dallas show. We got the Dallas show this weekend. So some people are going to be buying and selling. There's going to be some stuff. Some stuff is going to shift up. Some stuff is going to shift down. We've got the NBA playoffs. We've got the NHL playoffs. There's stuff going on that could have some impacts on some of this stuff. Not crazy amounts, but there could definitely be some. But don't forget also, well, that's why I said the comp thing is so important. Some stuff trending up, some stuff trending down. sometimes the thing goes down, not because it's bad or because the demand suddenly disappeared. Some people are like, I bought this for 100. Now it's 2,000. Let me take 1,500 and make $1,400.
Yeah.
Sometimes you take profit. So that person is like, well, $1,400 sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's sold for 500 less than the last one. Panic. It's like the person who sold it for 1,500 is like, I wasn't panicking. I made $1,400. I'm taking beautiful profit. This is wonderful for me. Now the person that paid 1,600 or 1,700, they're freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Two different people, two different motivations. Same piece of data. How you interpreted it was completely different depending on which side of that scale you were on. That's why I say, like, the cake lies. In this case, it's like what you're going to do, what you're seeing there is dependent upon your situation. If you have diabetes, the cake is bad. If you're a person who really loves cake and it's in front of you and it's free cake, this is the greatest day of your life. Same cake, two different interpretations of what you got in front of there.
Yep.
Silly example, but it's just, we got to use cake. Plus my mom had a birthday, so I got to have cake. So it was on my mind. It was really good cake.
And your dad loved it.
Oh. So anyway, Victor says, great video. Appreciate it, Victor. Highly recommended, especially the psychology side of it. Left me wanting more. We'll touch on psychology a little bit more. I'll definitely get into that topic a little bit more down the road because I think it's more interesting than just general data points. Because that is the psychology of the hobby is evergreen. That's always going to be real. It's always going to be real. I hope it's the case, but we saw last night PwC's option. Yeah. Because some of those folks buying that high end stuff, they don't care. That's what I mean. Like they're not in a position to freak out. Yep, basketball ladder here. All right, so Ziggy says, we need to thin the herd out. Yes, but not yet. So yeah, I love the comments on stuck money. It is. That's why they're not gone away yet. Now, I'm in favor of thinning out the herd, but you need real drop. Across the board, sustained drop. It can't be for a week or a couple of weeks or a month. No, it's got to be like pain. It's got to be somebody borrowed money and they're realizing they need to get out of this in order to pay some of it back. Pain. Then you'll see something. For now, nothing. It's a blip on the radar. Let's take a look here. Regards to PWCC, thoughts on extended bidding versus no ending time. For bigger items, extended bidding makes sense. For bigger items, it makes sense because it motivates, it thins the amount of buyers to the serious ones. The real ones that really want to buy this, it gives you potential to get a bigger result. For the auction house, it makes total sense.
It's a moneymaker for them.
Absolutely. But also, if you're the one who wants to win it, the game didn't change. How bad? Back to that original question. How badly do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody knows what the rules are. It's not like they're playing one set of rules for you and the other bidder gets a different set of rules. You're both playing under the same set of rules. Who blinks first?
Mm-hmm.
You can always just outbid the other guy and just keep going until they say, like, I'm going to keep going forever. So get out. So anyway. So you notice everyone that makes a living sports cars telling you to buy the dip or buy the goats? Yeah. Part of it, though, is that the goats or the higher end players are generally easier. There's a lot less thought process involved in that. There's very little nuance. It's like find the best player of that respective genre or sport or whatever, and buy those cards instead of some flash in the pan. Try that.
Yeah, but sometimes the flash in the pan is cheap, and you get in, and it goes,
Yeah.
through the roof.
It's tough to get the cheap flash in the pan though right now because right now they're bumping up the rookies.
I know.
And you're starting off. It's like the Lafreniere thing.
Yeah.
Lafreniere could be a very good player down the road. At 18, not necessarily. So what happens if he becomes a good player by 22, 23, 24, which by the way would be fine. He could build a Hall of Fame career doing that.
Sure.
But it's not at 18. So you're impatient. So it's like, so he sucks, but it's like, well, he doesn't suck. He's 18 years old and you started him up here where he shouldn't have been up there in the first place. There's nothing to justify that. You did that. I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Have they called the Rookie of the Year yet?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they've given out any awards yet.
No.
I just like an excuse for having Jim Cramer here. Mad Money screaming about pigs getting slaughtered. Yeah. Sorry, Senator Zador. Cake was critical. It needed to be brought up. It was pertinent to the conversation. The PSA 10 Jordan went for $300K, which isn't terrible. I still think that's a good price, not for me buying, but compared to where we were a year ago, that's still a phenomenal price. If you were a person who bought a Jordan at like 20, 30, 40 grand, whatever, a year ago, 300 grand, That's a lot more money.
Mhm.
You're still good. You're very
What was
happy.
What was the last comp on that?
It had to be like in the 4s, I think. I could be mistaken on that. I can double check, but I think it was in the 4s. So I think, right, like I said, right now we were at the dip. Dave has some dip, but it came with chips.
Yeah.
2 different things.
When you dip, I dip, we dip.
Yeah, there's lots of dip, but
Fancy.
nice. Yeah, so did you know PWCC pays the seller a premium over the winning bid? They charge the buyer a fee. I'm not too familiar. I have to look into it. Mind you, this whole Premier auction thing is
It's
new.
different.
So I know they're using a different setup. I haven't looked into it, but it definitely was something else. They're doing it a different way. So here, advocated by Antimatter. No, I said goats. I said goats. Not mildly above average, below average quarterbacks. No. I said goats. Ziggy Palfy, like goats. Wayne Gretzky on a good day if I'm in a good mood. Goats. Tom Brady will never get credit on this podcast. Ever.
There's no joy in Mudville.
Nope, not for him. Yeah, goats are like index funds. That's reasonable. Yeah. So, and the thing is, it's not new. Veteran hobbyists have been like, so is this player good? Yeah. They're already retired, right? Yeah. So why don't you just buy those? That's a good idea. Yes, it is. I wasn't interested. Like, I would say maybe the problem is that as a collector, perhaps the issue is this. I just never been drawn to some of those players that qualify in that category. It's not because I dislike except Tom Brady, but with the exception of Tom Brady, it's not the other ones. It's like, they just don't interest me. I respect Wayne Gretzky's accomplishment using that example, but he never interested me as a player. So to collect him would not interest me. Now, would I turn down a Wayne Gretzky card back in the day, for a good price? No, no, absolutely not. Because you knew he was the highest priced player in that for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Even back then, when things were cheaper, he was the highest price for a reason. It made sense. So it's okay. So like, I'm okay with it, but it doesn't excite me. I never enjoyed his play when I watched him play. I didn't enjoy watching him play. I don't call my favorite player a GOAT. He's not. But I enjoyed watching him play. I enjoyed watching the team play. That's why I collect him. That's it. It's the only reason why. Otherwise, I collect somebody else. And if you're legitimately excited, if Wayne Gretzky has tremendous, excitement for you and you enjoy it and you like to collect his cards, hey, Mazel Tov, awesome. That's a good reason. And you're probably not going to hurt price-wise. You're probably going to do okay.
Mm.
Especially nowadays. So anyway, quickly here. Yep, Pryor was in the mid-400s for the Jordan. Sounds fair. Sounds about right. There you go. Look at me. It's Ziggy. It's like me acknowledging the proper goat. That's correct. Yeah, so Sasha T here explaining the golden auction and PWCC premium. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. I know they did. I know they definitely tweaked something about their premier auction. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but I know they tweaked something for sure. Yeah, rolling it forward with humor. I have a lot of humor. Once in a while, allegedly. I bring Dave here for the serious talk.
Yes.
So, yep, Ziggy here. Double secret probation. You can make a triple secret. Let's go for quad. Talking about cake, yes. Why is it someone can't have another pork chop because he's full but has room for a couple slices of cake? Cake is magical, man.
It is.
And we've discussed before, I'm not very passionate about food, but I do enjoy dessert. I have a sweet tooth, so I do enjoy dessert. So while I am not the passion of Carlos Sr. for cake, I have a very strong appreciation for cake, though. Cake is definitely up there. I do like apple pie, though. Big fan of apple pie. Yes.
There you go.
But I will not turn down a good cake. A good, well done cake. I will not turn it down. I think it's fair. In moderation, of course. Bad person for looking down at retail scalpers? No. And I'm not the one who's going to judge bad people.
Oh, yes.
No, I don't judge them for being bad people. I judge them for being stupid. It's two different things. I can appreciate bad people. Stupid people bother me. That annoys me. That's different. And I think I've been very consistent on this point. Bad, I don't care. Stupid, I got a problem.
It's a fine line, really.
You can be a stupid bad person. They can go together.
They go often together.
Absolutely. It often can be. But not like, it's not 100%. There is sometimes a disconnect. It depends. You can have a good person who's still very dumb. It can happen. It can happen 100%. It's like, it's not, they don't mean bad things. They're just dumb. Yeah. It's like, they're not trying to be bad, but it happens. The retail scalper, and I want to get your take on this one, Dave. Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with retail scalpers because someone still has to buy it. I don't have a problem with your attempt. You were allowed to go buy the thing. The store sold it to you. It's fine. Now, if you do some shady underhandedness, that kind of sucks. But again, capitalism. Congratulations. Hashtag capitalism. Deal with it. But my issue is then you complain about it, mean general, just the general you. But then don't buy it. If it's not profitable, guess what? The thing stays on the shelf. 100% of the time, I promise. Take the oxygen out and the fire goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, if you're a vendor for a certain other company and you're going to like Walmart before they open or Target before they open and you're before all the stuff got pulled at Target and you're taking stuff off the shelf, then putting it behind your product you're the vendor for, you're a piece of crap.
Sure.
But I digress. If you're buying and people keep buying from you, it's basically like a drug dealer. You don't have to buy it, but you're addicted to it now.
Sure.
And that's where if the common sense train would come into the station, which it doesn't seem to be at any point in time soon, people are still buying it. They're still buying retail.
Yep.
They're still hoping for a down payment on a Beverly Hills mansion out of a hoops box, which if you said that 20 years ago, you'd probably get tossed out in the cornfield and run over by a thresher because there's nothing out of hoops that's coming close to that. But people have bought into that methodology because these people are pimping hoops, pimping Donruss basketball. It came out of what, like $1,500, $2,000 a box?
Mm-hmm.
Donruss basketball. Just listen to my words. Donruss basketball. I'm not saying even Prism, where you could semi-justify a little higher price. This isn't flawless. This isn't immaculate. This isn't NT. Donruss basketball hobby box. $2,000. The people that are stupid enough to pay these kind of prices, I hope they get burned every time, like the child trying to put his hand into the campfire. If you don't know that that's hot, keep trying. It might be cool the next time.
Well, the thing is, and you're touching on a very important point that, again, in the spirit of consistency, because I do like to try to be consistent at this point. I don't mind if people get proverbially burned.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a teachable moment. So I'm like, let's not protect them from this. No, let them touch it. Let them burn their hand. Let them, the socket that's exposed. Let them electrocute themselves. They will either die or they'll learn a valuable lesson. One of the two things will occur. They may very well learn their lesson, and hey, that's good. They'll come out better for this experience. That could happen. Or they get electrocuted and die, in which case there's one less person you need to educate. Both these outcomes are solid. This is a win-win situation here, folks. This is a win-win situation. That's why when I look at this and we talk about what we talked about a moment ago, the whole market correction, everything, it's like, to me, not yet. Because like I said, you got some folks that right now are holding very tightly for that reason. They really don't. Let them lose their lunch. Let them lose their shirt. Let it keep dropping and let it hold in that lower price point for a little while to the point that they no longer have a choice and they have to take a huge haircut. And then let's see how they react to that. Mm-hmm. Either A, they will learn their lesson. B, run away, never to be seen or heard from again. Or C, scurry away and maybe come back down the road if prices start to recover later. That's very possible, by the way. Even if you think you ran them off, maybe you didn't completely run them off. That's why I say I need to see a sustained correction, not for a couple of weeks, not for a month. I need to see a sustained correction because that will be the, purifying fire that will be a more accurate test. Right now, this is still a blip on the radar screen to me. I haven't seen it go for long enough. There has to be real pain. Right now, there's some folk who can afford to sit there and hold. and just cross their fingers and hope for the best and like freak out and panic and be like, we have to be more positive. And it's like, if it's warranted, sure, but not to save your investment. I'm not interested in being positive to save your investment. I'll be happily to be negative and make your investment go a little bit further into the red just for fun because it will amuse me. But I'm a bad person, and I don't mind.
Where's all the talk about those fractional companies now?
I think part of the reason they're not talking about it is probably some of those shares have gone down too.
We're in. No, we're out.
Yeah, well but the thing is, the fractional companies I'm not bothered with because when you buy shares of something, they can go up or down. That's normal. Sure. That happens. In this case, though, it's not an asset. That where I said has always broken the fractional ownership model from a company is that a company could theoretically, again, sometimes they don't, but the company could theoretically produce a product. They could produce a product. And if they produce a product and it generates some revenue, you could share in part of that success. There's at least a possibility. A card's a card. The price is entirely dependent upon the supply and demand, the desirability of it, and if people want it. If they don't want it, it doesn't produce anything. There's no dividends coming. It just is what it is.
Well, it was a fun ride.
Yeah. So that's what I say. Like, we'll see. So I'll grab a couple of Ziggy's comments here. We've been down for more than a few weeks. I need months. Months. Weeks? Don't care. I need months. 2021 will be rocky. I'm excited. 2022 is going to be a bloodbath. Hold my beer. Dave! I'm going to go get the mission accomplished banner. I'll be right back.
Hashtag don't invest.
Yeah. It's like, listen, I have the luxury of being able to sit back and enjoy it because I lose nothing. Oh, but some of your cards are going to go down. Yep. I lose nothing. Not a big deal. It's okay. If it's a big deal for you, then maybe you want to consider your position a little more carefully. Yeah, maybe focus on some Doge. Maybe it's underpriced. Ooh. Speaking of bloodbaths. But see, crypto though, a lot of the long timers know that's a thing. A real huge drop is actually normal. That happens. It's a volatile market. It is to be expected.
Oh, Bitcoin went for a tip the other day.
Absolutely.
It came back pretty good though.
And that's usually the way it goes. When it dipped down a little bit, I'm not saying I bought any. I might have. But stuff happens.
But we're on the way down. There was a 10 grand deficit.
I got it pretty close to the bottom of that little run.
Nice.
Yeah. So
32,
it was like
33.
Yeah, I can sit there. I'll wait. I'm patient. I'm fine. I'm patient. Yeah. Sounds good. Here we go. I expect the opening up free will people to get out and live a little. That's fair. Yeah. Mission accomplished bad on the aircraft carrier. That's right. Exactly. Let me show you guys actually something. I wanted to share this with you, and this will be just in general. I do like to share when there's something there. I think it's worthwhile. It's not that I've spent too much time on the channel, but I do think I watched the video and I thought it was decent for what it was, and I'll explain what it is as well. So I'll do that quickly. This is from a channel called, I think, Sports Card Radio, and I'll make sure I quote it correctly once I get in here. 2021 Dallas Card Show walkthrough. So they actually did a walkthrough with a camera during the VIP time of it. So this is not so much a video talking about deals and stuff they made. This is literally a walkthrough. It's exactly what it sounds like. They walked around with the camera, showed some of the booths, looked at some of the stuff on there. Obviously we're not there, but it's kind of cool to be able to see, because then you can actually see how the show is configured, where the dealers are. Obviously, even in the VIP time, there's people doing deals and stuff. So you're getting a bit of a taste of the atmosphere in a quieter one. It's very good. I think it's quite good for what it is, especially if you want to get a sense of what this current one looks through. A walkthrough is very handy. So I would recommend it. It is, like I said, from Sports Card Radio.
So this is like, sorry?
Is that about, 13 minutes or so?
It's about 13 minutes, yeah. It's not too crazy. So like if I zip ahead a little bit.
So this is like a real show. Wow.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you want to kind of get a sense for somebody who hasn't been to them recently and see what the current state of some of these, because again, this is in the VIP section. This is in the VIP time before the main people come in.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, for someone who might be curious, you're going to see the vlogs and stuff coming out over the coming days, but this is a walkthrough. This is a nice, it avoids a lot of the narrative. They do talk a little bit in there, but for the most part, they're literally walking from booths, showing you some of the dealers, interacting with some folks. You're going through the showcases. You're getting a chance to see some of the product on the showcases. I saw that somebody had a 25-cent bin. I was like, oh, good. I'm glad to see that that's there. That's great. Dave's nodding because he understands what I'm trying to get at. It's to give you an understanding of the context. But then you're also seeing the blaster boxes. You're seeing what some of the prices are looking like. It's a good time capsule of what this current moment in time is with this. It just gives you a sense, just so that you can keep it in the back of your mind for later as we go through the rest of the summer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So like I said,
actually see those bargain boxes. There's a couple people. I know one I'd watched that earlier because I'm like, I want to see, just because there was a show up here in Duluth last week and I didn't get a chance to go to it. But again, that one has like 5 to 15 tables. It's not a big. It's just sort of your typical mall show in the corner of the mall. So I'm like, okay, 13 minutes, that ain't bad. And it was, again, you see a lot of the normal stuff of today.
Sure.
A lot of prism, a lot of optic, a lot of silvers, a lot of hollows, a lot of that stuff. But there was several of those dollar boxes, $2 boxes. Same with the Dell show. I watched a review of that too. Or a couple partial ones, and the same thing. There's like $2, not that I collected, Pokemon boxes. So again, if you don't have to have the Halliburton with the stacks of cash and the suit. Is that preferred? Yes. But this way, at least people are still, you can still sort of gravitate, get them over, and guess what? $2 for a Pokemon card, you get somebody jumping in the hobby. So the 25-cent stuff, same thing. So, and then you get the bulk deals too. You buy 100, it's cheaper. Buy 50, cheaper. But again, they sort of sifted through there, and there's some decent prisms and stuff in there. So I like seeing it. I like seeing that it wasn't just all high grade vintage or LaMelo Ball PSA 10s.
Sure, exactly. That's why I say I thought the value in this video is just that it was a walkthrough. It didn't have the added commentary necessarily for the most part. It was just like, I'm going to take a camera, I'm going to walk through the show. I'm not going to see everything, but I'll give you a taste of some of these. I want to walk up and down some of these aisles. It gives you a little bit of a flavor for those of you who haven't had the chance to be to a show for a while. It's just it's nice to see what the current state is in places where they are trying to have these shows. And Dallas is being very well attended the last couple of times, and it's getting a lot of promotion. And Hockey here has a question that I'll get to in a second related to some of this. But the point is, it gives you a taste of what the current status is on some of this stuff. That's good. One quick point I'll make as well for what Dave said. Imagine you went to the 25-cent booth. Imagine your kid likes basketball. You can't buy any of these blasters because they're too expensive and all that stuff. What do you think would happen if you, again, I go only to my own experience because I didn't start off opening packs. I've mentioned that before. My first experience with cards was those collector kits and stuff, which is just a random assortment of junk. It's junk. But it served its purpose for me to be able to enjoy it and have whatever. And if I destroyed the cards, my dad didn't care. It was fine because they were worthless. He knew they were worthless, but it gave you the binder, it gave you the pages, it gave you some cards. What if you took your kid there, you went to the 25-cent bin, went through it, found some shiny, fun stuff that they might like, maybe from their favorite team or whatever, and you got to walk away with a stack of it for $20. You get to take it home and put it in the binders and do it. I'm sorry, you could probably get way more mileage out of that 20, and probably the dealer would cut you a deal. It'd be like, hey, it's just for my kid. I want a nice stack of them. Take a whole bunch. Take 200 of them. Go ahead. You could probably arrange something. I promise you. Some of them would be like, you're going to lighten my load. Go ahead. Here you go. I'll put it in a box for you. Done. And you will find a lot more fun out of that stack of cards as you get a bunch of shiny ones with the different color and everything and the prisms and all that than you will opening a blaster where maybe you pull nothing. And that's even if you've been able to get it at retail, let alone buying the secondary market price at which you get nothing but get to pay a premium for the privilege of getting nothing. I don't know if that sounds fun to me. It doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah.
You will not pull anything super exciting necessarily, but again, same vein. What if you went to the 25-cent box with your kid and found a $5 card?
Yeah.
You did. Oh man, what a steal. You came out ahead. What's the problem? Sounds great.
Well, then you teach your kid, hey, these boxes do produce.
Yeah. Because the guy was too lazy. Maybe the price went up on a couple of these players started playing a little bit, and they're not going to go sort through thousands of cards to find a couple of $5 cards that happen to slip in there. Well, congratulations. You who took the time to go through the box, this is your reward.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
A win-win-win on all.
Sounds good to me. Why not?
I like watching those videos where the guys open the box and there's really nothing in it, but they're justifying the hell out of some of the cards. Well, this one's hey, maybe there might be an outside chance. Oh, it's so much fun watching this.
Well, here's what I'm looking forward to, because I know Bobby has a YouTube channel. So what I'm looking forward to is when Pro Set comes out, the box breaks from Bobby Burrell for the cheap, wonderful product with the Pro Set buybacks and those wonderful things.
Mm-hmm.
I see nothing that could possibly go wrong. Nothing.
Well, I'll be buying it all.
As you should, Bobby, and you should. I will find multiple accounts to thumbs up that video as many times as I can.
Just hire some bots. You're good.
Don't worry about it. I will do everything in my power to make sure they go viral for you. Okay, so quickly, hockey here. Go ahead.
I might buy some. Just one to open.
I
do that every show. I do that. Something new, something interesting.
But if you do record it, in all seriousness, put it up on Instagram or somewhere. Why not?
I will do that.
What the heck? So here, Hockey says, what do you think about content creators glamorizing shows like the Dallas shows? To me, there is nothing glamorous or fun about looking at cars with a bunch of people around you. I think that's fair. But here's one thing I would throw at you. Do you watch American Pickers? Do you watch Antique Roadshow? Do you watch any one of a variety? There is a show, I don't remember the name of it. It escapes me. We've got it on Canadian TV where it's like border crossing, whatever. It's like they've got that show, and then they've got the one where it's like at the airport, the customs folks or whatever. That's a show.
Yep.
What do you think would happen if they showed you what really happens most of the time? Like, don't glamorize it. Don't cherry pick what you're showing. Literally show us. So passport. What is your business? What is your business in the United States? Have a good trip. For hours. Oh my God. That would be misery. Or you sit there, you do hours and hours of footage and find a couple of interesting cases or something, cherry pick them and show them. Well, when you're doing this and you're a content creator and you're doing a vlog, most transactions are really straightforward. They're dull. How much are you looking for that one? $100? All right, thanks. I'll check later.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to show that? Because that's 99% of the transactions that don't actually happen. They're just people tire kicking, checking the prices, maybe not even negotiating. Just like, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Go to a card show. That's 99% of what happens. It's tire kicking and like, oh, but it's cheaper on eBay and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I guess you could record that. It's not very exciting. Let's put it this way. You wouldn't watch it. So what do I think of them glamorizing? I understand. How's that for a response? I understand.
Yep.
I do not blame them.
That's your typical negotiation. How much you want for the card? $100. I'll give you 80. I goes, best I can do is 90.
Yeah. The closest you get to not glamorizing it is the video that I just recommended to you guys. Which is just a walkthrough. Because it doesn't have any added commentary. It's just literally, it's like, it says it's a walkthrough. That's what he delivered. No clickbait here. That's exactly what he did on the video. So good job.
You should see me around booths. It's really interesting because I go up to people and we're not talking about cards. We're talking about, different knickknacks and what have you. Mm-hmm. And they go, oh, well, how much is that worth? Is that rare? And what am I supposed to say? Well, what price do you want? Well, what's it worth? It's like asking me. I can't price it to and buy it from you.
Mm-hmm.
How much did you pay for it? Is actually my question back. And they go, wow. It's like, wow. Tell me how much you need to make, and we'll talk about it from there.
Maybe you could start making your, to bring it full circle to what we talked about earlier. Maybe you could start making your offers in Doge. See if they actually know what the going rate is of Doge. It's like, yeah, I'll give you 100 Doge. That sounds great.
Yeah,
sucker.
I've heard about that.
Sucker. It's like, isn't that like $20? Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
That's right.
It's like, isn't that exactly like Bitcoin? Yeah, it's exactly like Bitcoin. Exactly like Bitcoin.
So it's hard for me to buy sometimes, walking around the shows. I actually get some people to go buy for me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's fair. And you mentioned, though, that that's the pitfall of having written a book on the subject, and then people assume, because it plays both ways. For some folks, it's like they might assume that you're pulling the wool over their eyes because you do have that information. You do know something they don't. So they're sitting there like they're trying to like match wits with you, but at the same time, they don't know the product. Yeah. So it's like, I'm trying to extort the maximum amount, but I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, it's so true. It is hard. I understand. And, I will never rip anybody off. If somebody has a price on their table for something that's and is worth a lot more, I'm sorry. That's why I've invested so much time for this to know the difference. And you're a dealer, and if you don't know the difference, I'm so sorry. And that's the truth of everything. You go to a dentist, like you wonder why they charge so much. Well, you go to school for 8 years, and suffer, and then think you can get a dentist at $20 an hour. Good luck.
That's fair.
You might get one. The Appalachian Mountains. So.
Nice.
Hope nobody's from there. Actually, it's pretty cool up there. Yeah, all those.
Good save, Bobby. Good save.
Yeah. Moonshiners. No.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like this question though, because it actually sets up a little bit of a fun topic with a lot of these shows, because this is something I've kind of been keeping an eye on. I'll be curious to see what happens going forward. So the question here is, are people bringing in their expensive collections to these shows? Yes. For show and tell, setting up themselves to be robbed? Yes. Now, my curiosity is this. We know that there's already issues that prompted Target to pull the retail off the shelves temporarily for now. We'll see what happens in the long run. Because they just didn't want to deal with the flag of like, we don't want fights in the parking lot. We don't want any of that nonsense. We don't want fights in our store. Like, this is not worth, it's not worth me hiring a security person to guard the freaking blasters. That is not worth my time. And having somebody patrol the parking lot to make sure you guys don't do some foolishness. That is not worth, for what we're getting out of this, it's not worth it. But a card show is a card show. In that room is a lot of money on paper. Downturn or not, there's still a lot of money in that room. And as the dollars have gone up, I'm surprised there hasn't been more robberies, especially with folks bringing, because a lot of folks are acting as like, their wannabe Sasha T's bringing their little Pelican cases full of graded Kobe's and LeBrons and whatever, which on paper have a tremendous amount of value, street value, because even with a downturn, it's like, okay, it was worth 20,000, but now it's 15. That's still $15,000. In one of those cases, you can hold a lot of those cards.
Pelican cases are really down now in sales.
Yeah. But imagine a case full of a bunch of that stuff. Let's say you had put together a pretty good collection of some of that stuff. Some of those folks are making trades where the trades are in the 5-6 figures coming out of the box. It's not everything in the box. So what's the box worth on paper? And how quickly would it be for you to put the case down and somebody to walk by, grab the case and lift it?
Yeah. I'm sure that's already happened.
I'm sure.
Don't find out.
I could see more.
And they all look the same. So It's hard to tell who's walking around with what, right?
I merely posed the question because it's like, well, wouldn't there be tremendous incentive for some people who are organized? I'm thinking more of a national when there's so many people, so many distractions potentially. You could easily lift a bunch of those cases from a bunch of people over the course of a weekend and walk away with tons of cash. Somebody went and stole a $50,000 box of National Treasures right out of a store with the cameras on. Well, how much easier it is to take $100,000 out of a Pelican case in a place full of 20, 30, 40,000 people or whatever it ends up being, or 10,000 people, whatever. Thousands of people milling about. Nobody can pay attention to the comings and goings of everybody. You could grab something and kind of blend into the crowd and disappear.
Who was that? The guy in a mask. Oh.
That's always been a reality at card shows. That's always been a possibility because people try sneaky stuff like that. But in the current market, even with the pullback and everything, the incentive's never been better. There's so many avenues to get rid of the stuff. Now, I'll touch on quickly here. Yeah, if there was a food scarcity, I'd be fine with fights breaking out. That is primal fighting over cards is ridiculous. Yes, but the cards currently represent money. So it doesn't matter. It's like it could be cards, it could be diamonds, it could be gold, it could be anything you want. Insert item here that has some value.
Doge.
Is Doge. Could you imagine? It's like, what are you doing? It's like, how are you fighting over Doge? It's like, did you leave the code to your wallet in your pocket? Is that what you did? Is that how? Hashtag cryptogriff. But it's like, it is ridiculous, but it's also not. Because wherever there's money to be made, people are going to fight over stuff. People fight over money. That's real.
All the time.
Like, this is just a representation. It is another representation of money. And the reality is, yes, you can get rid of the cards pretty easily, a lot of them, especially if they're not serial numbered.
Yep.
If it's a high value card that does not have a serial number, it's really hard for you to convince somebody, oh, but that's my card. But there are 10,000 of those PSA 10s. So which one's your card again?
Well, we'll find out when they start scanning them, right?
Mm-hmm. And that actually takes me to a little topic I want to touch on real quick. Here in Basketball Hoops, I always speak of basketball hoop to a card show. Exactly. So real quick, so that got to the bottom of the comments. So real quick, let me touch on this one. So Dave, obviously, working on the list, working through all that. We talked about that a little bit earlier. The card show thing is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. Do you have any plans of trying to get to the national, or is that out for this year for you?
I wouldn't mind it, but the way the current market is and where I'd like to see my friends, at the same time, I don't want to see all these other people. And if you think they're going to try to cap attendance after losing out last year, I highly doubt that's going to happen. And you think that now that the cards are expensive, just imagine the hotel rooms. Anything that's available now, instead of being something reasonable, will probably be 2.5, 3 times a feasible price. So, no. Long story or long answer short, no. I'd like to, but I don't like being around people that much.
Shocking. Very shocking.
Stunning.
I often think of, when I think of persons, I think of Amish Dave Archer. That's like the first name that comes to mind. But hey, we could easily be misled. It could be your jovial nature, your calm, rational sermons at Lake Superior. Could have fooled us all along.
Possibly.
That's fair.
Allegedly, yes. But
that, I think those are all valid things. It's going to be interesting because it's a bit of a push and pull. Because for some folks, obviously the attraction, oh my God, let's get out to a card show. For other people, though, it's like, oh, but you're going to be surrounded by idiots. Ah, interesting. Okay, hold on. How badly do you want this? Ooh.
That's par for the course, though. It's good with the bad, and it's mostly good. It's a lot of stupid.
It is going to be a bit of a numbers game, though, because if there's enough people, you're really going to get such a high ratio of like the reason I brought up the whole thing with the Pelican cases earlier. To me, I think the biggest danger going forward is going to be the amount of wannabe dealers who are wandering the hallways. And if you're a dealer, like, okay, if you're bringing me stuff to sell and you're doing it that way, I get it. But if you're trying to make deals at my table, I'm going to have a problem. I paid for the table.
A lot of that's going on. Yeah,
absolutely. But now you're taking a show that's even bigger, increasing the amount of people coming in, trying this stunt. Whereas in a smaller show, you might be a little more tolerant of it. There are going to be some folks definitely doing that. We'll take a show where you've got a much bigger audience and you got a much bigger group of people trying to do this simultaneously on the show floor. I could see that being a problem. And that's from the dealer's perspective. Like, hey, wait a minute. I'm paying good money for this table at the show to do business. You want to do business? Buy a freaking table. Or go to the other area because there's going to be spaces around the conference center where people are going to congregate for trade nights and stuff like that. I promise. There totally will be. There'll be offline deals. Guaranteed. But not on the show floor. It's like if you're a dealer, like, go do it over there. Go to your car, go to the hotel room, go to the area in the convention center, go to the trade night and do your deals, not on my table. Unless I'm involved, what kind of a cut am I getting on this? Because I'm paying for the space.
I think a lot of people scout out people carrying around the Pelican cases, opening it up, trying to make a deal with the guy, and after they leave, then they track it down and go, hey, I got something if you want to trade this for that. Yeah. So a lot of that happens, which is, what can you do about that? Yeah. No, but on the table, I don't think so.
Remember, there's a lot of folks that are new to this that do not have any sense of decorum. They have no sense. They have no sense of boundaries. To them, it's like they're seeing the highlights on these vlogs and thinking, "Oh, you can just walk up to any table, just open any time, open up your case, and start doing deal. Act like you're a dealer in the middle of the show floor at somebody else's table." Yeah. I can't put it past folks to try that. And then it'll be interesting to see how the room polices itself in that regard and keeps it from becoming an issue. I just pose it as a question. Just as a thought.
I never let anybody open up their bags on the front of my, when I had a booth there, never on the glass or the plastic display cases. I always say, come on, come around to the side and we'll look through it.
Yeah.
Should never do it face on face, right in front of everybody else.
I'm sure there'll be some dealers who will do that, and but even some of the dealers are inexperienced too. Some of those dealers are pretty new to this as well. So it's like, it's going to be this learning thing where a bunch of them are trying to like figure out like, how do I react to this? If somebody tries to do this at my table and I'm new to this, how do I respond? How do I engage them? You know, do I just tell them to get out on the spot? Do I go, hey, you know, what the heck are you doing? Whatever. That could be a source of fights. Like even at the tables, because of that simple transaction where it's like, you picked the wrong time to do this with the wrong person who's having a bad day or had some bad deal happen or something. There's a lot of instigating things that could cause a problem. Now, I'll pose a question to you guys. We're not really in that space necessarily, but it is something that I've heard a little bit chatter-wise, but I think it's interesting. A lot of folks, some folks are starting to get back their PSA grading submissions. And I saw a live stream with B. Roth just the other night. I watched it last night, I think. He did it the other day. And he was talking about getting back some cards that are ultra modern and getting lower grades than he's expecting. And he's not the first person that I've heard this from. Now, I want to get your thoughts on it, but then I have my own little theory on it. But any thoughts on why that? Because enough folks who are doing bulk submissions are starting to see this be the case where they do feel like they're getting a much lower grade, 1 or 2 grades lower than they're used to doing, because they submit a lot. So they usually have a good sense of what the grading scale is for PSA, but they're finding it to be a little bit, they're getting it graded much harder right now. And the first thing they run to is population control. But do you guys want to take a stab at that? Your thoughts on it? I've got my own theory on this.
Okay.
I would say they just want to get the bang for their buck. They don't. Sure. They're not going to necessarily grade as diligent at PSA. Again, that could be completely off. But with the price hike and the rates, I think they want to get stuff, get it in, try to get it out, and then maybe that could quell and deter some people from sending in. And again, they're still going to send in regardless.
Sure.
You know that's a huge part of the game now. But that's what I think. They just you keep on inundating everybody, and it's like, well, okay, at some point we have to do something, even if it's grading lower than maybe we've done in the past, to start like pumping the brakes, because whatever we've done hasn't worked. So that's sort of like the tinfoil hat, but at the same time, I could see a portion of that being true.
I think that's fair. I think that's reasonable. Any thoughts on that, Bobby? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, just a speculation. I just think they want to get things out fast. They got a new building. They have a lot of new graders. They've hired a lot of new people.
Ooh, a new building. Hold on. That's exciting. I haven't heard of a new building.
Didn't they get a new building?
Everybody has a new building. I'm waiting for the new Burrell shed. Everybody gets a new building.
It's actually out back.
Exactly. Dave, make a building out of Legos. That should be a video. You can announce your new building.
It'll be Duplo.
Ooh, love it. Love it. That's an automatic thumbs up from me, Dave.
Yeah,
Preemptively, just let me know.
Lego.
In advance.
So, I don't have really much to say about it. But I can say and comment that a lot of friends that I've talked to who have cut their grades back are not very happy. No one's actually happy. Nobody got a great grade. And that's quite a few. I'd say a dozen people. And in the vintage area, too, surprisingly.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if that means anything different, but...
See, I want to make... that makes a lot of sense. I want to indicate the next 3 comments are why I like you guys. You get it. You understood where I was going, where I was having some fun with this. So Paul says, can the building be seen from space? That's a pertinent question. Yannick says, is it visible from the moon? Again, a valid question. And Sanderson to Orr, but do they have a machine? See, you guys are getting it. You're getting it. Good job, Chad. You guys are getting it.
Maybe.
All 3 of you. Good job. Let me pose a little alternative theory on this, if I may. So let's play this angle a little bit first, and then we'll come back to PSA for a second. So Dave, you've been at the supermarket doing your thing. How long?
16 and a half glorious years.
Wonderful. And as we all know you beloved your place of employ, as you well know. So here's the question: you've been at this a long time. at this stage in the game, you can do a lot of the tasks you have to do day to day in your sleep. You can kind of just do it. Now, there may be policies, processes, and procedures to follow, blah, 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 series of steps. There usually are for jobs like that. Like I worked in retail for years, and there's a series of process steps. Now, at this stage, if I ask you to do it, you might not be able to name me off all the steps, but more or less you do them. But do you do every single one of them exactly, to the letter? If I wrote it down as a regulation initially, if we were training somebody and giving them a set of steps to do you do exactly that without variation? Or do you kind of just like, look, I know what I'm doing, just let me do my thing?
Oh, the latter. Always the
Correct.
latter.
Which is perfectly reasonable. Like, that's normal. That's what happens. But if you were starting a job today and I gave you a set of 20 steps, you're brand new hire, this is your first, you're just getting going here. Are you following these rules to the letter?
More than likely, yes.
It is the expectation that you will follow this because you would like to stay employed. You're not, you're new to this. You would like to stay employed. You're following this to the line. Okay. How about I like Occam's razor. Are you guys familiar with Occam's razor? Sometimes the simplest answer is the correct one. Mm-hmm. What if it's not a big conspiracy by PSA? What if they're hiring a bunch of people? Some of them need to grade these cards. Some of them that are grading these cards that are new are not going to get the 52 tops manual. They're going to get the ultra modern, which some of these people complaining have a lot of ultra modern, which I would guess is more likely to be graded by junior graders rather than senior graders who are new. What if they're just adhering to the grading standard to the letter and your cards are not actually flawless? And actually, your ultra modern before, there should have been more 9s. Mm. But the graders who were there previously were like, look, I got to grade 100 of these in the next hour. Yeah, good enough. 10. Yeah, whatever. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. These are ultra modern, whatever. Are they well centered? Yeah, 10. So we're getting Dave at 16 and a half years versus Dave, the new hire, who's like, I better not fuck this up. Nope, that's a scratch. That's a 9. Yeah. Nope, that's a little off. Nope, that's a little bit of a crooked. If you're going to get a quality control check done on you, do you want to be the one who's grading 10s that should be 9s? I'm just throwing it out as a theory. Does it not make a little bit more sense that maybe some of these guys just got hired and they need to follow the line precisely? So if it's a scratch, they will hit it because they don't want to get caught letting the one through, because this is the time where now after they've been at this game a while and they're pretty experienced and they're pretty well settled now, they're vested into the company, and all right, maybe you missed one. You graded 10,000 cards in the last month. You missed a couple, percentage-wise, not so bad. Yeah. You're not going to be as bang on precise as you once were. But right now, they need all hands on deck. Mm-hmm. So,
makes you wonder what's going on.
And like I said, though, it's not a conspiracy. It could be human nature. These guys want to keep their jobs and they're brand new. They know there is a written standard for these guys. They're training them on something. Mm-hmm. So if they're following it to the letter, maybe it turns out your cards have more flaws than you think. They're coming out of the factory with more flaws than you thought. They should have been graded lower before, but you're actually experiencing it now because you're getting the people who do not have the years of experience to suddenly be softer on your grading.
They're not jaded. They're not jaded.
They're not jaded yet. They're still too new.
Yeah. And they're looking at what's wrong.
Yeah.
They're actually looking at what's wrong and being hard on themselves.
And it turns out their grades are more accurate. It turns out your new grades are actually more accurate.
Yeah.
Just a theory. Just something I'm throwing. Like I listened, and then I like to think a little bit differently than a lot of the folks that I'll be listening to. It's like, guys, what if it's a lot simpler than that? What if it's just they're literally following the rules?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And then what you don't like is they're following the rules. Damn it, why can't I get the ones that were ignoring the rules? They're giving me 10s.
Everyone always thinks they have a better grade than when they get it back.
Of course.
There's always some surprises, but no surprises this time from friends that got the 9 months worth. Yeah. Took 9 months, 8 months, 7 months. Yeah.
I think the thing that is frustrating for folks, and I understand it, is that you would love consistency. But unfortunately, grading is subjective. And that creates this problem area because you look at it, maybe you catch something, but then I hand it to you and you're like, but there's a scratch right here. And maybe I spent 5 minutes, and I don't think you get 5 minutes, but let's say you did. I spent 5 minutes looking at it. I catch something else. Maybe something's off with a nick corner or something, but it's so minor I let it go. But I missed the scratch over on the other side of the card, of the surface. You look at it and you're like, no, man, it's a scratch. That's a 9. Got to knock it down, or maybe even an 8. I was willing to let it slide as like a borderline 10 because it was relatively minor, but I never saw the scratch. You saw the scratch. No, man. And if you're in training and somebody is double checking your work, because at that moment they need to make sure they don't let something crazy slip by. So they're being a lot more careful in what they're letting through. And the lesson you're getting slapped on the wrist, being like, hey, catch that. It's something that wouldn't surprise me given the current state of where they are and what they need to do. It's a little bit different. It's not as convenient as, oh, they're screwing me over, they're doing population control. It's not as fun as the conspiracy. Damn it. Why? It's not as much fun, but it might actually be a more plausible explanation given the current situation.
Yeah, my friend sent the Jordan sticker, and it was really nice. And it came back stain 9, and he goes, before he sent it, there was no stain. Him and a friend looked at it, and they're really good, and no stain. And then he got it back, and still no stain. Where's the stain? Where's the stain on this 9? Tough. Now, what's he got to do? And I looked at the card. He showed me the card, and I go, I can't see it in hand because he's out in Western Canada. But what do you do? I said, I don't know, man. Like, what do they see that you're not seeing? He goes, I don't know. I looked at 10 ways from Sunday, and there's no stain. That's very unusual. And there was a couple other grades. He had a Jordan rookie too, and it had some bleeding on the back red line across the back there. You ever see and it was a little bit of bleeding. So somebody think they soaked it, but he bought this like 35 years ago or something. Okay. Back in the day. So it came back as altered.
Okay.
It's like, what? And it's just that one line. So all the lines would bleed. It wouldn't just be that one line. Or you can see the printing press, how, and I had no idea what the grade would be. Otherwise, it's probably an 8. So, or a 9. But with that on the back, who knows? So that one comes back altered, and it's gone. I give up. There was a few others too that I could tell you about, but those 2 in particular that were very much standout cards.
No, that's fair. I think it's reasonable. But that's the only reason like I said, with stuff like that, I posed the question. So I got Ziggy's comment up here. So they're saying the new Wizards have better magic than the old ones. Well, I think the new ones, the new Wizards, to use your vernacular. We won't say nomenclature because people will demand payment.
Steve's not here to defend that. He's magic guy too.
Hold on.
It's the magic man. There he
Correct
is.
Yourself, sir.
Oh, you saw that coming.
Oh. No. It was literally within microseconds of you saying those words, of saying his name. Boom! It popped on my thing here because this is on delay.
Oracle.
This is on delay, of course. The Oracle predicted. As the prophecy foretold. But yeah, to use the Wizards vernacular here, the reality is this. Very simply, this. That's why I gave the analogy with Dave in the supermarket, because I understand this type of role and this type of, like, when we get somebody a new hire, they are to the letter, which makes them slower, but that's okay because they're supposed to learn how to do it properly in the first place. And then obviously they'll get sloppier and start doing some shortcuts and start cutting some corners as they're at it longer. By the time they're a grizzled veteran, they've been at it for 10 years, 15 years.
16 and a half years.
If you went through the checklist, you're going to find so many steps skipped, and it's going to be like their comeback is going to be like, are you getting the result or not? Did we get to the result that we're not? Like, yeah, I skipped a couple of these steps. They're nice to have. I'm busy. You asked me to get this done and get this done and get this done. Only way it's going to happen.
I got the cards out. What do you want from me?
And right now,
there's a problem, they'll send it back.
And right now, that's exactly where they are.
Yes.
So it creates that distinction between the veteran graders and the new ones who are probably getting your ultra modern. Yeah. That's the only reason I say the folks that are complaining about the ultra modern, I go, I got a theory. So anyway, I'm glad you like it, Paul. I'm going to get caught up here in the comments real quick here. Did you see that CSG is holding a grading workshop? Yes. And that's a very interesting strategy. Now, mind you, I think they're trying to use it for hiring as well. I think they're trying to use it as a thing for hiring as well. Because anybody who does a really good job, they might be willing to offer jobs for that. But at the same time, it's like they're already starting to get a little bit backlogged. That might be kind of a dangerous move. It's like,
Yeah.
shouldn't you guys be grading cards? It's like, we'll get back to it right after. Sure you will. Yeah, so what do you mean I'm not getting attendance? Pack bold and straight in top loader. Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they missed the penny sleeve in dust. Correct. So here we go here. I still think BGS with subgrades is the most accurate Magic. Ignorant investor community that puts a premium on PSA 10s. BGS said that to themselves, though. I think people like the idea of subgrades because it gives you a little bit of an idea, okay, what sections to focus on. But I think the people that are just trying to buy and flip cards, subgrades create the situation where you have a 9.5 with 3 10s in a 9.5, which is a better 9.5 versus all 9.5s versus 3 9.5s and a 9. And all of a sudden you create these weird little sub variations. It's like, oh, but what if the 10 is on centering? Does that make it better? Maybe? Question mark? I guess? Perhaps? It creates this weird algorithm because most people don't understand how you came to the total because it's like, it's not an average. It's never meant to be an average. There's a formula. Certain ones are going to be worth a certain amount. And then depending on how the configuration breaks down, that's how you're going to end up there. But it's like, and because of that, you can have a 9.5. I can have a 9.5. Dave can have a 9.5. And they could be 3 distinct cards. So then going back to the comp conversation from the beginning of the show. So which one's worth the most? Which one should we be paying the most for? I don't know.
Everybody has their own determination, but centering and corners are certainly the top.
Sure. No, that's fair. But what I'm trying to get at is all of a sudden they're not comps.
No.
Because it's not apples to apples. It's not exactly the same. It's only all the subgrades have to be the same. Otherwise they may as well be 3 different cards.
Yeah.
We can't value them the same way. And that's a problem.
All pristines are not pristine.
That's the only reason why I say subgrades are always a bit of a challenge. It creates a bit of an issue. So good evening, Steve.
But at least gives you a reason, right? Like with this stain, getting back to my friend's card, at least point it out.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it was an expensive card.
I think that's fair.
Worth a lot of money.
I would still like to see what I proposed. It was either last week or a couple of weeks ago. I would love to see them utilize the technology they already have with having that barcode on the back of the little QR code, be able to link it to a card, and then maybe give you some additional information or a high-res scan or connect it to something that maybe is useful to me. Especially if I'm paying more for like a premium card, I would love to have a grader's report of some kind. Even if it's a couple of quick blurb, a quick line. The grader saw this, this, and this. That little piece of extra information that I could look up would be a value add.
Let me know you did something with my card.
Yeah. But I think it's justifiable for like a higher end card where you're already paying an upcharge.
Mm-hmm.
That at least that makes you feel like you're getting some value for the additional money you're paying for it. Give me something more. Give me a little extra. Yeah. Then I get a report card or something, and at least it tells me what the heck's going on. And in that way, PSA can get away with not having subgrades because they gave you something even better. They gave you a little report. Mm-hmm. That's better than subgrades.
Yeah.
And that's within the technology. And that's within the technology.
That's what they do with the comic books. There's the greatest report.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So new Wizards as in Papa Hasbro. Very nice. Very nice.
Oh, here's that card anyways.
Okay.
The Jordan. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, hold on. I'll zoom in a little bit here. Give me 1 second. Yep. Yeah, if you hold it back a little bit. Okay, so you got kind of that blurry thing at the top, directly above the numbers.
Yeah, because it was soaked and it just blurred out at the top.
So that wasn't from the original print. That was that actually? So it was soaked?
No, not at all. Well, that's what they're assuming, right? Altered. What else can they assume? But that's a printing error for sure.
Okay.
It doesn't go in a flash like a little.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting one though. Like I've seen that kind of an error before.
No, it's not a common, but I mean, certainly it does happen.
It does create a spot though. I guess it depends. Like for Jordan, you would like to see.
Like look at that Jordan.
For Jordan, you would like to see an experienced grader take a stab at it. That's what you would like, ideally. But
so see, but
yeah, I don't know how I would treat that back, because aesthetically,
it's a tough one.
It's something. It is something.
But it's not soaked because the other red would have it would have bled everywhere. It doesn't just bleed in one particular area. And
Yeah, it's not consistent. Yeah.
And when anybody soaks a card, you soak the whole card. You can't soak parts of the card. I know this from getting cards off of like non-sports cards. I did soaking these off. They were glued on paper, so I just soaked them off. But if you only dip a little piece in the corner, it won't dry properly and it'll warp the card. So you can't.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair.
I did a whole scrapbook full of non-sports from the 20s. It was great. Mm-hmm. Most of them floated off. It depends if they use animal glue or it's chemical glue. Makes a big difference.
Reasonable. Quickly touch on these here. How about if the scan was to blockchain? I know Ziggy likes his blockchain. I think there is use. So here's what I'll say. Let's be, and I understand why Ziggy likes to use the blockchain idea. As a technology, connecting it to blockchain could be useful because then you've got a ledger. A ledger is publicly accessible. So there is utility to attaching the technology, but we got to be careful of not just using blockchain as a buzzword. But for connection to a piece of data that makes it unique, that makes it identifiable, that allows you to be able to tell the difference between one and another, there is some potential utility there.
Yeah, but Elon says it uses too much energy. So,
well, blockchain is the underlying. It's not Bitcoin itself. Blockchain doesn't require the mining. So Elon's okay with blockchain. It's Bitcoin that he has an issue with right now.
Understood.
But he makes cars, so cars have batteries and fuel cells, and
it takes a lot of coal to make those.
I think it's like methinks someone wishes to buy Bitcoin cheap, and it's not just hashtag cryptograph.
And then in the Doge, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Exactly. It's okay. He's gonna fix it. He's working with them on it, on the Doge. Oh. Very important. So here he goes. Did you see the interview with Peter from SGC when he talks about going from 8 people to COVID to 100? I did see a little bit. I don't think I watched the specific one you referenced before. I haven't gone around to it. But I do know, obviously, they did grow. Like, they did this in their little, I guess, press releases on their website. Basically, they talked about how they expanded the amount of people they got in, and they got a new building.
But you can see from space.
Well, I think SGC is one you can't see from space. That's the only ComC that can be seen from space. And possibly your shed, and possibly the shed. So those are the only two items, as far as I know, that can be seen from space. Although we haven't seen Dave's new structure.
No.
Perhaps under the right circumstances. That could be seen from space. We don't know yet. So I'm not going to put it past him. But the thing is, and then the second comment here is, think about the new graders they have. Yes. But here's an interesting thing about that, though. SGC does not have the same reputation of handing out 10s as easily.
No.
So they have a much easier time being more stringent because they were more stringent before. Whereas PSA had a stretch of time where they were a little bit loosey-goosey. And the 10, by definition, had some room. 55-45 on the front. I think 60-40 on the back, if memory serves me. So it's like, you've got a little bit of room to work with within the definition of a 10. And it still qualifies by definition as a 10, whereas an SGC 10, in theory, is held up to a higher standard, in theory.
I believe so.
Allegedly.
It appears that way.
Yeah. And the good news for them, though, is that means if you're a new hire, then being more stringent is okay, because we were a little bit more, we didn't hand out the 10s like candy before. So it's not like you don't feel any added pressure to be like, well, you were handing out 10s before all the time. You're like, oh, what are you doing? You're being harder on it. No, as long as you can be consistent, it's okay.
Yep.
So I think SGC that way feels more consistent. We'd have to run the data to see if they're really being more consistent. Maybe they're being more stringent with the 9.5s. So you're not feeling it the same way, but it's actually the same problem with a different numbering set. I can't answer that question. I don't know.
With the PSA, is there something you write on the form now that you're guesstimating the grade?
You can put a minimum grade. For value. You can put a minimum grade.
No, I was talking about you have to. What grade do you think this is going to grade at? I guess for monetary reasons. Is that my understanding?
Nope. The only thing I saw on the forms is just min grade. You don't have to put a grade for any other reason. You can put a value, your estimated value.
But that was based on a grade, would it?
Well, it was based on just in general what you thought the value was.
Okay.
Yeah. And then what would happen is if you were way off. So it's like, yes, Tom Brady rookie.
Gretzky rookie too.
$1. It's like, ha! I know you're lying. It's like 50 cents. But yeah, it's there would be people who would like mess with that because especially when you used to have the up to $99 and it'd be like $150, $200 card, $99. Really? Really?
I did that with the Studley card. I got it's 1932 card, hockey card, and it was a Howie Morenz. And I sent it to PSA. I talked to Joe Orlando, and I gave him all the information about the whole set. And
Sure.
the first one graded. It was a 1 because it was pretty beat up. It's a long like a bookmark card almost. Anyways, it's a value for sending back $100. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right.
You know how many figures we got on that? Well,
Nice.
they don't know anything.
That's been kind of a
Allegedly, this happened.
yeah. It's been kind of a fun ongoing. Like I guess maybe this would be the way we put it. There's a lot of experts in the hobby that really aren't experts in the hobby, and they're in a position to be experts in the hobby, and that's across the board. By the way, that's third-party graders. It's a lot of different areas. If you understand that and you act accordingly and treat it with what it deserves, it's not going to affect you. It's not going to impact you. That's where knowledge can be your friend. If you actually know what's going on, then adjust yourself accordingly, price yourself accordingly, do whatever you need to do to adapt to the situation on the ground. But a lot of these new folks, like, it's blind allegiance to whatever it is. That's why I do enjoy part of the back and forth with the SGC folks, the PSA folks, the Beckett folks, the whatever. Everybody is trying to, there's a lot of folks who are trying to be tribal about it. They want to be team PSA or team SGC. I was like, how about just whoever does the job correctly? Whoever gives me what I need out of this. If the holder's good, it does the job, it gives me some value, whatever, I'm good. I don't care that much. It doesn't make that much of a difference to me. PSA's one thing for me was that A, they held good value, and B, the holders were nicely stackable, and C, the label was clear. So it served its purpose as a holder. It did fine. Would I pay a huge premium on it? On most of the cards I buy? No. On most of the time, the answer is no. I have a card that I'm going to have shipped from Ship My Cards that is a PSA card, and it is a Medano, a modern Medano, that is a PSA 5. And when I bring it in, I'll explain why. But there is a reason I bought it. That wasn't a mistake. And actually, the price I paid was very fair for it, and it is not a common Medano. So I didn't pay any extra for the grading. Let's put it that way. But it's a PSA 5. So when I show it, it'll make more sense. It'll make more sense.
It's a green or blue.
Yeah, but I didn't pay a premium for it. So that's the key. Is to me, it's a glorified holder with a label on it, so it's fine. But so for that purpose, it's okay. But if you pay a premium for it, well, then that would be problematic, especially for a modern card. Modern card at 5. Oh my God, why would you even buy that? Well, if it's rare enough, yes, you will. It doesn't matter.
I think across the board, most of the grading companies do a fairly good job. I know there's little inconsistencies, but as you know, PSA gets a lot more inconsistency talk because they grade more cards than anybody else. SGC, I have no problem with Beckett other than them grading sheet cut cards. I really don't have a problem with them grading their grades. So I haven't experienced the other two companies yet, but you know, I guess I should look around and see how they're doing, because you know, you can look at the cards and kind of say, okay, you know, especially when you're in the lower grade, not the 9s or 10s, but you know, looking at the 8s and 7s, some 6s too, on you know, vintage cards or what have you. The newer cards are so hard to tell on a scan because they're all flashy and you know, it's can't see stuff.
Yeah,
Same
well,
way.
I think it's been enjoyable for me because a lot of the times I'll see these videos where they'll talk about the stuff, and it's like, oh, I'm trying to give you just the data. There's no agenda to it. It's like, really? But you're fanboying every time. Like, there's a guy named YouTube channel like Retro Hoop something. I'll watch the videos because they are interesting. I'll watch them, and he does have some data-based stuff, which is good. He'll run through some of that, but then he'll explain how he's like, well, he's not an SGC fanboy. But then when he gets an SGC return, it's like the heading is like tuxedo time! Exclamation point. I'm like, you're a dork. Like, enough with the freaking tuxedo thing. It's a black insert. Okay, look, man, I like the holder, just to be clear. I like the SGC holder. The presentation is good. I've bought SGC cards. I bought Beckett cards. I make fun of them, but I bought them. It's like all the Be a Player Ultimate for many years were in glorified Beckett holders. They're fine. They're fine. They're not perfect, but they're fine. The PSA one serves its purpose. I'll reserve judgment on the CSG. I got to see it in person. I'm still not a fan of the label, but if the card is decent inside of it and the price is fair, it's fine. It's fine. But I'm not fanboying for any of them. I'm not Team PSA, Team SGC, Team Beckett. I don't care. It's whatever serves the purpose. But I watched some people get so worked up that they went like, oh, I'm going to GMA. And I'm like, you do that. A one touch would be cheaper. just buy a one touch and tape it. Just tape it. For God's sake, tape it. I don't know. You Team GMA there, Dave? Team GMA for life?
No.
No?
No.
I know Bobby's Mint, MNT, so he's a big proponent of that one.
I have great cards. Actually, I'm going to go with the SGC and get my other ones graded.
Well, I thought we talked offline. You were going to send all your new Pro Set buybacks to MNT so that you could combine. It was like the Mega Powers uniting.
Yeah. Wonder powers activated.
Wonderful. All right, real quick, I'll get caught up here on the comments. So I agree, real application blockchain. If graders use the same blockchain, you could have universal. Yep, no worries. Universal registry, yep. Universal registry, I think, is still a pipe dream. I don't think that one's going to happen. Okay, so this is on the owner suite. This is a new sports card investor channel. I heard about this. I haven't caught that one. Okay, so talking about the grading here. People said the value is owned, but if I have PSA, they need to update the value. This is about putting in the prices, which is true. The upcharges tend to come from that. Did you see why PSA Collector changed his name? I saw this video. It randomly came across my feed. I haven't paid attention to PSA Collector in a while. Although his New Year's this past year, it warmed the cockles of my heart, Dave. You would have loved it. It would have been so beautiful. I tuned in randomly though. I didn't watch it from the beginning, and then after it was over, by the next morning he had taken it down. But somebody clipped a piece of it, and I was like, damn it! But it was so good. He was so sauced. And then he just went on this rambling tirade where he talked about how it was stupid to be like, it's like spend money on real things like real land and real gold and he's just having this rant. It's like, your name is PSA Collector. He was like, I can't keep up this facade anymore. And suddenly it disappeared off the channel. I was like, I needed this video still be there. I want to pull clips out of it. It was gold. So good. So good. Yeah. So yeah, PSA Collector's entertaining. So apparently he realized that naming himself PSA Collector and selling products where he uses the PSA naming might be a trademark infringement.
Yeah. I could see that.
Well, he literally makes semi-rigid holders, and he had PSA Collector on the front of them. So it's like, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on YouTube either. But I'm not a moron. Did you honestly think that was going to be cool on the front of the thing? Now, PSA didn't go after him, but he was worried about it. So that's why he's become, I guess now he's like graded card investor or something like that. Like he's kept it it's now very generic. It's graded card investor. So he doesn't go by PSA Collector anymore. So it's like, yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and PSA gave him verbal permission. Yeah. 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 Well, if you're going to make a third-party product, here's the thing. I don't care where they're made. If the semi-rigid holders work for their purpose, the semi-rigid holders. Like if you're going to make a product cheap, a lot of people do white box products. You have something made. There's a whole, like if any of you guys ever want to look into drop shipping, figure out what that is. Do a little Google research yourself. Go to the Google machine and type it in yourself. People white box products. They'll go and have something designed. They'll have it made in China, super cheap in a factory. They'll give them the schematics, basic schematics, put my logo on the front, do this, and then they'll go and sell the product on Amazon or a bunch of other places and make some money. Depending on what the product is and whether you can successfully sell it. Half the shit on Amazon that's not sold by Amazon directly is these products made. And if you want to find the product, go to Alibaba. Go to AliExpress. They're there. You can buy the exact same one. And by the way, most of those products are fine. It just depends on what it is. Like some of it's true garbage, but some of it is like, it's no better or worse quality than the thing you bought at Walmart because Walmart bought stuff that was made in China too. He was probably in the same factory. What difference does it make? Nothing. Was it cheap? Yes. Does it do the job that you asked it to do? Yeah. Good enough. Other than that, do you really care? If the semi-rigid holder holds your card and you're able to send it in for grading and it's good to go, is that fine? Yeah, it's fine. Sure. You know what? Make some money then on it, dude. Whatever. I don't have an issue with that. It's business, right? Business is business. But that dude he's always been so shady, and I love it about it because he's so in your face about it. And I'm just sitting there like, you are so lame. I love it in ways I can't describe. See, Dave, when I go down YouTube rabbit holes, I watch things that give me joy. You should try it. I get so much enjoyment out of the ridiculousness. It's fun.
I do that with my car crash videos. I like that too.
But there's some car crashes in sports cars. They're proverbial car crashes, not literal car crashes. But like I said, man, the drunk PSA collector. So the clip here that Ziggy's talking about, I think somebody took a clip and put it on the basketball card Reddit or something. So I got a chance to see that little clip that I was describing to you. But I just wish that somebody had archived the whole thing. I was like, no, I could get so much material out of this. Be so beautiful. There's a lot of videos that should be archived that could be entertaining to occasionally play from time to time. Don't you think?
Several that have been taken down from my channel in just south of Dallas.
See, it all comes back to Dallas. Back to Dallas. But anyway, so question for you, Dave. Now that we've covered, I think, a lot of the main topics that I wanted to touch on, I think we're good. And by the way, guys, those of you in the chat, we can chat about whatever. We've had some fun with some of this stuff, but like we can go in a bunch of directions. And I think we've done a good job touching on a lot of this stuff. So I'm very happy with that. And we can always talk about wrestling too, because Dave may be vaguely familiar. So did you hear the AEW's got a new show, eh?
I heard that, and I heard they're, what is it, in January? Mm-hmm. Maybe? And I didn't check the dates, but I know they're going over to TBS.
That is correct. I don't think it's going to make a big difference because TBS gets in a lot of homes too. So it's like, as far as the visibility, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I don't think they'll stop it at all. They're doing well. It's just, I still think that roster is getting a bit, even with all the shows they've got, their roster is plumb full of people. And then when the COVID restrictions really start loosening up everywhere, you're going to have even more people on there and more wrestlers sort of getting shuffled in, shuffled out. And you want to keep your core group, which I think they've done a really good job of. But I think to the point now, it's that the Kenny Omega, Don Callis shtick is getting semi-tiresome. It's just, you can only take so much of that. And it's been in wrestling how many times, done so many times. And right now it's taking away almost from the product. And I don't know, I think they'll continue on just because, again, Omega and the Bucks are all boys, and I know Cody is too, so I mean, they're not going to drop each other down the food chain, but it's a tiresome gimmick, and I don't know. I like AEW, I like their product, I like, even just in that little offshoot of like the Jacksonville Jaguars stadium. I like that. I like that little.
Yeah, Daly's place.
Yep, it's a fun place to watch wrestling because it sort of reminds you of the spring break shows that WCW used to do. Yeah,
it's a semi open air venue. Like it's got a little bit of that going, and there the weather's usually fine that they can make that work. Yeah. One thing I'll throw back at you, and I see Victor's comment, so I'll grab that in 1 second. Let me put Paul's comment up here as well. Crane accidents. There you go. Paul's suggestion. Crane accidents. Hey, listen. Helpful suggestions are always welcome. What I was going to say is that I generally agree with you. I will say that they're usually pretty good, I will say. And this is my metric, and I think I mentioned this the other day. The way I measure this, or at least I mentioned it in, I think, a podcast that I have with a buddy of mine, and I'll advertise it at some point, but not tonight, I think, where we just talk about random shit, and we end up talking about wrestling a lot lately. But the point is, my metric is this. When it comes to a show, I value my time. whether that is hobby content, whether that is wrestling, whether that is anything else, music, whatever, insert genre of entertainment. I value my time. I don't have the patience I once had to be able to sit there. That's why I love the 2X option, because I'm like, get to the point. Get to the point. I understand what you're saying. Get to the point, please. But WWE, the way I knew that I wasn't going to watch the show anymore is that I have my PVR and I would say, okay, I'm going to fast forward through whatever doesn't interest me. And I got to the point that in a 3-hour show, I was watching 4 minutes. I would fast forward through basically everything because it's like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. This match is fine, but it means nothing. I don't care. Just fast forward, When I'm fast forwarding a 3-hour show to get 4 minutes of valuable content or content that I'm actually willing to sit through and watch, that means it's a bad show. It's a bad show. With AEW, it's not perfect either. I will fast forward through segments that don't interest me. Mm-hmm. But on an AEW show, I'll watch 60 or 65 or sometimes 70% of it. That's good. That means I'm still watching the majority of the show. So if the segment doesn't interest me, say it's another Kenny Omega thing, but I'm not interested in that particular thing he's doing, the fast forward button is my friend. Mm-hmm. So it means I don't have to sit there and watch something I don't care about. And as long as the ratio stays where I'm still watching the majority of the program, then we're fine. And if that other show allows them to show me, I watch some of the YouTube stuff they do. Some of it's pretty good. Yeah. I won't sit there and watch all of it because there's a lot of it. So, but if it's interesting, sure. But it's like anything else. If it's interesting, mm-hmm. If you give me something that's interesting, I will watch it regardless of format, venue, whatever it is, I will watch it. If you've got an interesting pay-per-view, I will order it. Mm-hmm. I will patronize you with my money. In YouTube world, if you're producing an interesting product, I will patronize you with my attention. Mm-hmm. That is the best way I can reward you, by saying your content is worthy of me to watch it and use the time, because I will be very picky at this stage. I'm not going to watch most of the stuff because a lot of it is not that interesting to me. Mm-hmm. So when I will use the time, it's like, that's the best compliment I can pay you. That's the best compliment I can give you, because I'm willing to use the time when I could be watching 100 other things, because YouTube is this vast database of so much stuff. You could sit there day and night and not run out of stuff to watch and never come back to that genre ever again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure. So that's why we try to always be understanding. And on the other side of it, you try to be like, look, we'll try to do the best we can. We'll try to do something. Hopefully it either educates or entertains you. And I heard Brett from Stacking Slabs use that comment. I'm like, I haven't heard you use that one before. Where did that come from? Tell me the truth. I just thought it was interesting to suddenly use that one. I was like, how many times have I used that line? A couple of times. But anyway. So Victor here says, PSA Collector has 57,000 subscribers. Very true. The last video got over 20K views in a couple of days. People eat that stuff up. Yes, they do. I'm not saying no. At this stage, the ones that get the most viewership are not necessarily the best content. It's the most digestible content. It's not the content that makes you think. It is the content that thinks for you. It is the content that tells you what to do. Dave, give him a top 5.
Josh Johnson.
Nice.
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with the crust.
Oh. Bold. Okay.
Paper bags, not plastic.
Interesting. All right.
Lilac bush.
Mm-hmm. That's 4.
Cumulus clouds.
That seems like a top 5. I didn't give a theme, so that's top 5. It's legit. Guys, take that back with you. But that's the thing. A lot of this content is made because it works. Mm-hmm. I'm not fighting it. I'm not saying no. What I'm saying, I can still critique it. I can say this is empty, vapid content that has no value. And I can legitimately hold that opinion, and I won't watch it. But I'm not stopping you from watching it. If you want to watch it, watch it. I totally understand. And I'm not going to judge you that harshly, because at the end of the day, whatever is entertaining for you, I can't tell you what is going to be entertaining for you. Maybe you get entertainment out of it.
Yeah, it's not like you put up big draw things like certain other groups, podcasts do.
Yeah.
You know?
I've talked offline with both of these guys. Offline with both of these guys. If the goal was to get the maximum number of, of course we would all like to do, huge viewership. We would love that. That would be awesome. But if you want the maximum viewership, there is a formula. It's not like you can't figure it out. There is a formula. And if you follow the formula, the numbers will go up. Of course they will. Follow the formula. Get the same guests on, talk about the same thing, talk about the same topics, do an interview segment, ask the same questions over and over again that everybody else has already asked, rinse, repeat, and keep doing that until profit, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, profit. Every single time. Dave, you taking notes? Jot it down.
He already knows.
You might have to pick a specific day for the chicken sandwich thing. That'll really escalate it to its maximum. You might have to pick a, it's like Shark Week, but you could have like Chicken Sandwich Week.
Yeah. But why the crust? That's the question.
You throw away the crust, Bobby?
Oh, yeah.
On the bread?
Yeah.
That sounds like extra hashtag effort. I'm going to eat the damn thing as it is.
Effort?
I'm not cutting off. I'm eating the damn thing as it is. I'm not taking off crust.
Okay, you got peanut butter and jam. You usually don't get it to the extent of the crust. So why have the calories when you don't need it?
The crust is really the calories you're worried about.
Okay, cut all the crust off, pot it in a ball, and see how much it is. And there's no peanut butter and jelly in it. There's hardly any. Unless you're doing it right to the edge and all the way around. No.
I love where this went, Dave. I love where this went. It makes me so happy.
I had to know why.
Well, by all means, Dave, please fill in. And good evening, Brad. Good evening.
I always go to the crust. I don't. This isn't like a commercial where you have the Skippy and you're just sort of like a couple. Yeah, I'm all the way. We're going all the way and it's dripping over.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I don't like it on my fingers, so I won't do that. So
that bread is there for a reason. That's to be consumed.
Oh yeah, the bread is. Crust is. But anyways.
Nice. I like here that this is the question here. Top 5 World War I military issued socks. And go. I like how he's looking like abject horror. Paul, well done. Well done by you. Well done by you, sir. All right. So you got 2 videos in a day. I don't know how they do it. Sanderson, this is what happens when we don't take the hobby so seriously that we force content upon you. I said earlier, we'll chat about stuff. We're hanging out. We've talked about the Dallas show. We talked about all this stuff. I even left open that premiere. I've got the tab for the PWCC premiere thing. If there's a couple of cards you guys want to talk about, I have the summary with values and stuff. If you're interested, I saw the cards. I'm going to scan it for my understanding, just for my knowledge. But there's nothing in particular that sticks out to me. They're all 50,000 and above cards because that was the minimum threshold to be in this premiere auction. Outside of that, I don't care. Unless there is maybe one that you guys have some interest in talking about. I don't see any value in spending time when we could be talking about something crucial like this. Cut the apple up or eat it whole. I'm a cut the apple guy. I'll take the slices.
Yeah, slices.
Slices, we're all in agreement.
Without the skin.
I can imagine you doing that. You say it.
I do.
Do you literally take the skin off the apple?
Most of the time, yeah.
Are we back to the calories thing?
Not at all.
So we're on the calorie stick for the bread, but not for the apple.
Yes.
Lovely. Fantastic. We're learning a lot tonight, guys. We're really learning something. We're really learning something tonight. I feel this was a valuable conversation to have.
I just want the good stuff, okay?
I see. Side note, Oilers versus Jets feel like the Jets are Ali and Rumble in the Jungle. Interesting. I just need to know if Bobby eats the crust of pizza. There you go.
It depends. Sometimes it's really good. And if you don't eat the crust, then you can usually get another slice in it. So it's a choice. I don't eat to get full. I eat for pleasure. I don't eat for, filling my belly. If I go to a buffet, it's a waste of money.
Interesting. I literally do the exact opposite. Outside of the cake I'll speak to. The dessert I'll speak to with. Other than that, it's like whatever, man. Just fill up the belly. But Dave, I think you have a little bit of opinion in this. But last time we talked about pizza. Again, I mostly disqualify myself. I don't really pizza. However, for you guys, we talked about toppings. We did discuss that last time. Mm-hmm. Now, is there a particular type of pizza that you prefer or enjoy? Because obviously we got different varieties, right? All kinds of, deep dish. You've got the thin crust. You got all kinds of stuff. What preferences, if any, do you have?
I haven't tried like the Chicago, and I've been anywhere around some of his like heritage, the Italian
Oh,
to
yes.
lighten them up with,
Vinny is somewhat passionate about his food from time to time.
especially the pizza.
That's right. I'll be right back.
So I'd like to try like and I know it gets hyped up, especially down in Chicago for the National at Giordano's because they got like the deep dish Chicago style pizza. I'd like to try that before I start making any. I really like this one. I really like that one. I want to try that. I like. There's some thin crust I like. If it tastes like cardboard or it comes out pretty much like a hockey puck, that's
Yeah.
not. If you can crunch into it and still get a good chew, then you're good.
Yes.
But you don't want a doughy, thicker type crust either because it's chewy. It's way too chewy. It's like you're chewing on a wad of bubble gum and it tastes like pepperoni and sauce.
You can barely taste the pepperoni and sauce.
Yeah. It tastes more of the dough, and that's not good. So I mean, it just depends on what kind of pie it is. The pizza has to have good toppings, good sauce. You want good consistency with the sauce. You don't want that like light drizzle of it. You want almost to come off like the side of your mouth if you bite into the piece, and then you're like, oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't taste the sauce, it's just like, well, why the hell did you make the pizza?
Yeah, some people put
It depends from place to place.
Yeah, some people like a bechamel sauce. It's sort of a white
But no
sauce.
pepper or no pineapple and no olives.
No olives. I know I'm up with olives. Yeah, I'm a thin crust person for the most part. We don't have Chicago deep dish pizzas. I've seen them made on the Food Network, and they look amazing. And that's why they call it a pizza pie.
Yep.
Because the way they layer it, it's almost like you need a knife and fork kind of thing. And I'd look forward to having one of those in Chicago if that's where you get them. We don't have those in Canada. Carlos, pizza pies, like deep dish.
Not really. I haven't. I used to get. I joked about it how the local newspaper is basically just a flyer envelope.
Basically.
But inside of the flyer envelope, you get flyers for all kinds of the pizza joints. The main ones, obviously, the chains and all that, but also some of the smaller ones. So you would get the little, because they would be advertising, right? That was a cheap way of advertising, of getting people to go visit their stuff, because every place has their local little pizzeria, whatever, this, that, or the other thing. So you want to sell it. I never really saw anybody advertise that. Not really in that way. A lot of it stayed pretty standard across the board from that way. Because fast food, obviously, we're not in Toronto proper, but there's plenty of fast food options around here. The Uber Eats and all that have plenty of places to go grab it. Or there's Uber Eats. There's a different one. The name escapes me, but Skip the Dishes. Skip the Dishes is the other one, and they got a lot of restaurants in there. But all the pizza joints, they stick pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, it seems like the deep dish is like a thick crust on deep dish pan. That's basically all it is, and the crust is is thicker too. Mother's Pizza used to have that years ago. Otherwise, no. You don't get much of the. It's mostly commercialized. In the last, I guess, 10 years, with microbreweries and all these other things that are popping up, there's some nice little, like you said, regional locations where they have. Oh, this is a great pizza place. I'm going to this place tomorrow called Fleek Burger, FLEEK.
So it's on fleek, like the kids say, Bobby. Is that
yes.
This has really happened. We're on fleek now.
Actually, it's called.
Good thing I filled up my beer at this time. This is the right time.
The actual name is Burger on Fleek. So it's out in Ajax.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
I'll send you pictures.
You may as well. Why not? Absolutely.
Yeah, supposedly they're very well known for their chicken burgers. So, we'll see.
Chicken burgers is getting dangerously close to the chicken side. Like I saw Dave's face.
I said burger.
He's intrigued. We're getting close to that territory though. Okay, I got a question. I got a question based on what you just said though. I got a question that plays into this a little bit. So quickly, I'll grab these comments and I'll ask my question. So Paul, relating to your apple thing. Geez, Bobby, it's not a banana. And then Bob Lewis chimes in. Bobby probably eats his bananas whole. That would be beautiful. That would be a beautiful contrast. Just eat the whole thing.
Yeah, the one skin that I leave.
Like this is the one. He's like, you know what? For the banana, yes, damn it, I need that potassium.
Here's the question: Do you peel your banana from the top or the bottom?
Top.
Top.
Yeah.
It's easier to peel from the bottom.
That's fair. That's fair.
No, try it next time, and you go, oh wow.
Mm.
Because you know when you snap it back, and sometimes you bend the banana and it gets all mushy, and nobody wants it. Like if that doesn't happen at the bottom. You pinch it, like nothing.
Nice.
Lesson for everybody there.
I like this next comment from Santa Senor. Carlos, you don't like pizza. That's it. I'm done. That's the one that put him over the top. All my Brady slandered he can live with.
Never to be back again.
It's like, that's it. Nope. We're done. It's like, I accept this outcome. And I will continue my Brady slander. I will do both. Yeah, Brady's arms are on fleek. Very nice. Very nice. Oh, okay. So here's my question. And this is one, like almost one of the, it's bordering, and we haven't gotten it there yet, but it could be one of the great philosophical questions of our time. Chicken sandwich, chicken burger. If a sandwich is 2 pieces of bread with something in the middle, and a burger is the bun, 2 pieces of bread with the chicken in the middle, what's the difference between a chicken sandwich and a chicken burger? Is a chicken burger not a chicken sandwich?
No.
Go on.
Oh,
this is critical stuff here, Bobby. Because listen, like Dave's religion is based upon chicken sandwiches. This is like you're about to be Martin Luther. Be very careful what you do here. If you hit it on there, there's going to be a schism.
Okay, understood. On a burger, generally it's a fried breast or what have you. That's usually on a bun. On a sandwich, generally either leftover chicken or chicken breast if you sous vide it. It's really good. It's a plain, so it's generally just a regular white, or it could be dark meat, just between bread. Whereas the other one is more of a sandwich, or a whole chicken breast on a bun kind of thing. You do that too, but that's not really on a sandwich because it doesn't hold up to the squish test on a sandwich. You ever bite a sandwich and it just kind of, the bread goes right into the, anyways, you understand.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on this, Dave?
Dave, please regale us on your chicken sandwich.
I would think a chicken sandwich again is like a breaded entity.
Okay, so you would focus on the breaded side of this piece,
and then where the chicken burger, I'd say, is more of like a flame broiled type of, like a chicken breast that's flame broiled and then added with barbecue sauce, mayo, whatever delights you want to indulge with.
Okay, so then you reject the chicken burger that is breaded like in the conventional one in like the box, basically one of those deals, because they've got their ones, they'll call them chicken burgers, but they're basically like these lightly breaded. It's like the lightest of light breading. So you reject that from.
I'm not a fan of, and I don't know what you guys have for brands up there. I'm guessing it's Tyson and like a Banquet, the frozen stuff, where you have the chicken nuggets. I don't consider that's.
Not even chicken.
That's chicken feet or something. I mean, nobody wants that. 8-year-olds want that. That's about it. I mean, that stuff it's a struggle. I mean, you want the real chicken breast, you want the thigh, you want something that's actually got some legitimate meat.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying like a deep fried on a sandwich bread? Is that what you're talking about? That's generally a chicken sandwich here?
No, I'm on a bun. I like the.
Oh, okay.
Like a fried,
So your sandwich is on a bun, but the burger's on a bun, but they're not the same.
No.
So, and our distinction is based on the level of breading and the actual content of the chicken itself. That's our key distinguishers.
Yeah, because if you have a regular chicken sandwich, you think of that sort of like as on the white bread, like chicken salad, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fair enough. That's what I equate to like a chicken sandwich in that regard. So I mean,
that's right. What I thought of.
The list of chicken type sandwiches and burgers, and you have to have it sort of like split out, just because if you don't, it could cause great consternation amongst peers.
Well, that's why I was very, very careful on this. I felt this was a conversation that needed to be had because, like I said, we could have had a Catholic and Protestant schism right here. We have to be very careful what happened here. Bobby was about to play Martin Luther. He goes, it's like everything you believe is a lie.
It's Friday the 13th again. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to be careful with that, you know? I had, as soon as Bobby opened it, I was like, I know where I can go with this. The opportunity was too good. And to the shock of anyone who watches later, it's like, no, they actually had a serious conversation on this. It's like, yes, this is important stuff here. It's crucial.
We have the nasty habit of eating 3 times a day. It has to be a part of our life. We don't buy 3 cards a day. Some people do. Maybe Dave does. Carlos, you don't. But this we do 3 times a day. So, food is like very important. It takes up a lot of your time in your day.
It can, yeah.
It does. Unless you're ordering, then it's just like, hello. Yeah.
Well, some of us have people for that. Dave.
But with that, I have to leave. It's 10:45. I've got to be up at 3:30. So
yeah, no worries. Appreciate your pop. I appreciate you popping in, Dave, and clearing the chicken sandwich schism before it became a thing. It's very important. Good. Before you go, Dave, you feel free to do the plug.
Every Tuesday night, 7:05 Central Standard Time, the Insert Revolution podcast on its own standalone YouTube channel with the same name, the Insert Revolution podcast. We talk about all kinds of things, such as chicken sandwiches, inserts, both card-wise and for your shoes. Anything that you can think of, we pretty much delve into the discussion. Sort of like an offshoot. It seems like this show that you've got going on, Carlos, and then the show over there, it seems to intertwine real well. And
I think it's the way I've tried to position it is that it's the same concept, but we just change the mix. Mm-hmm. I'll go a little heavier into the hobby topics, but we'll still have some fun and talk about random stuff because there's only so much you can do. Otherwise, it's like, guys, these are really long shows. I'm not going to talk about the hobby for these many hours. Like, it's not that interesting.
Yeah,
it's really not.
No, it's
dealing with the chicken sandwich schism. That's important stuff. That's real important stuff here. But talk about the greatness of Ziggy Palfy and all that. Now, you also do have a placeholder in for the next episode. You guys are going to talk about trading, I believe.
Yes, talk about the importance of actually trading cards and how it's either a dying thing, how that affects us, because I know a lot of us don't really do much of the trading. It's always eBay, ComC. We're looking somewhere to outright buy something immediately. So, and that sort of has to do with the big card I got in, making a huge trade. So,
of course,
I figured, well, the mind was sort of scuffling on things to do. I'm like, you know what? I'll do that. That seems like something that we can get a little mileage out of. And again, when we were kids, we could do a lot. We did a lot more because the market then, we had nominal funds to go buy cards. We didn't have stacks upon stacks and a Halliburton. Mm-hmm. So when we traded, it was you knew the Beckett, and the Beckett was pretty much the Bible back then. So hopefully get about an hour of discussion out of that, which we've been trying to do, and then just go from there. And I always welcome everybody to join and hop on over and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and Patreon, Discord, OnlyFans.
Yep. I'm just putting it on the screen there for you.
Oh,
by the way, Dave's thumbnails are generally on point. He has a little bit of fun with that. We'll talk about it a little later, though. I want to get in on this conversation on Tuesday if we have the chance. I'd like to chime in on this one a little bit. Have some fun. I'll be the glorious opposition. I'll have a little bit of fun with it because I've got some thoughts on it, but I'll save them. Let me save them, and we'll chat about it a little bit on Tuesday.
Yeah, because there's pluses and minuses, just like every other aspect. So it'll be. And most of the time, I'm in the minus category, but I've been able to finagle a few things, and I'm not going to say I came over to the bright side because that just doesn't happen. But
I was going to say, settle down. It's like we already got really close to a schism, and you're about to try to overturn everybody's, beliefs in life here. Calm down.
And I'm just one step at a time.
That's right. Sounds good. So I just have it on the screen there, guys, and that is the Insert Revolution podcast, named exactly that way. So there you go. So you can check it out. So I wanted to leave it on there before you headed off, Dave. Appreciate you popping on because I know it's late night and you have to get started early. I got a couple of comments here that we'll get to in a second, but I wanted to bid you adieu and thank you for popping on. And let's see if we have a discussion on Tuesday. We'll have some fun.
It'll be fun. It always is.
That's right. Sounds good.
Night,
thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
See you, Dave.
All right. So I wanted to make sure Dave had a good chance to plug the podcast, since
good.
we do check
Yeah.
it out. So
You have to do that once in a
yeah,
while.
the topic is interesting as well. And we did get, so Mr. Bob Lewis, of course, has the interesting questions. And I got a comment from him after that's kind of fun too. So I go, what are your opinions on the pretzel bun?
Not
I'm
too
for
much.
it. I don't mind it. I like them on certain things. It just depends. Like I said, I'm a boring eater, but at the same time, like the pretzel bun, it's just no. But the thing is, I don't have a problem with that. I'm good with it because to me, it's like I just want what works for me. Because like I said, and this is a conversation I had with my mom today. We were chatting about because my mom is very passionate about food and stuff. She's very passionate about it. And I would say, like, look, for me, it's just a means to an end. I just need to get out of it. Like I said, dessert is the one thing that I enjoy. That's it. Other than that, it's like, look, whatever. Because she'll always ask me, it's like, well, how do you like food? I go, it's fine. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, the only way you're going to hear anything from me if it's bad. Other than that, everything's fine. I don't care how much it took time to cook. I don't care what you did to it, whatever. If it's bad, I'll tell you that. Otherwise, it's fine. Because I don't get excited. It doesn't excite me. I don't care. It's just, let me get past this so I can get to the next thing I'm going to do.
Do you like a steak?
I'll eat it. Like, I don't get excited about it, Bobby. Like, I don't care. Like, it's just there. It's just calories that I need to continue to stay upright.
But taste is everything,
Clearly not to me.
obviously.
Yeah. So it's one of those things. So I stay in my lane in that regard. So that's why I say, like, I'm not going to critique any
Sure.
creation because it's like I have no passion for it. So I'll defer. I'll defer to the experts in this matter.
Yeah.
But it's still a fun conversation because I know that lots of people have very strong opinions on some of the stuff. But the pretzel bun itself, like bread is usually pretty good a lot of times because I will make different kinds of sandwiches. I'll usually put the same stuff in the sandwich. Pretzel bun is good as a change of pace. Just, if you don't want the basic stuff. But otherwise, it's like, I think it's an interesting twist. It can give you a little bit something.
Well, see, things are based on how you have them on buns. Certain buns, stuff that is harder to eat, like a steak sandwich, you have to have a tougher bun because you're biting in and kind of pulling harder. If it's a soft bun, it'll just fall apart on you. So there's a lot of technicality behind it, really, if you think about it. Because if you go to the right burger place and they don't have the right bun, sometimes it just doesn't work. It's always all over your hands, and it's just, doesn't eat well. It's kind of like a Whopper.
Okay. Sounds fair. So good evening to 90s Hockey Collector. Thanks for popping in. And I like this comment. I was appreciating this one. So it's like, heathens don't usually make Martin Luther references.
Oh, yeah.
They do if they're history majors, Bobby. They do if they're history majors, Bob. I assure you. Like, I know my way around a good Martin Luther reference. It was kind of a big deal. It was a kind of a big deal. It resulted in a lot of things. Let's put it that way. But if you understand it, that's why I say I hope that in the course of the silliness and fun we have, I try to bring some actual references to things. Like, no, the benefits of a classical education. What's the point of me reading all these damn books if I can't use some of these references at appropriate moments when it's like, no, it fits. We can have a little fun with it. And there you go. If you don't know what it is, you can look it up. And if you do know what it is, well, there you go. It fits.
Yeah.
So Santa Sonora here says, what percentage are you at launching your website? How do you feel? How far along do you feel like you are?
Well, I'll tell you where I am. Every time I come on, I'll tell you where I am. And I just finished it's kind of an unusual set. I'll just say 1966, 65-6 Coca-Cola cards.
Okay.
So I think it's a full rewrite, and it's quite detailed, some of these. I thought they were going to be a little bit easier and faster to get through. But there's a lot of small issues in between. Like adding this set is kind of, this was Lions T, and then there's like one hockey card in there. So even though there's 66 other cards, I like adding the one hockey card, and I put the whole list of everything. So this took a little bit of time.
Are those cards or stamps?
They're stuck in there. They're actually
okay. So they are cards, but they're stuck on there. Gotcha.
Yeah, they were in Lions T back in 1960. So this is the 100th anniversary of 1867, 1967.
1967, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For the centennial. Yep.
So they did this special book, and there's one hockey card. I think it's Boston versus Montreal. There it is at the top. If you can see it.
Hold on here. Yep. You're going to have to lift it up just a little bit. There you go. Yep. Very good.
Okay.
Yep. So you're right there. Beautiful. Okay. Looks interesting. And yep, you got the one hockey one. That's kind of interesting. It's a good action shot.
Every province has the things that they do there. It's an issue. It's through Lions Tea. It's a food issue. There is one hockey card. It was across Canada. There's an album to mail away. So, sometimes you just have to add these things. And it's important that you don't miss these things. Now it's done. I never have to worry about it again because I don't think I'll find any new information on this. But at least it's finished. And I just bought this. I had all the information, but I had some high-risk scans that I had to do, so it worked out really well.
Okay.
So that there's an hour of my life I'll never get back from Lions Tea, but at least we added. Like what is coming in the website is you can't imagine how much is really out there. Like I just showed you that. 0 people know about that, and I can guarantee it, nobody knows about that. I think 99% of the people in the hobby don't know about it, and it's interesting stuff. But there's a lot of that, not so uninteresting and lackluster as this one, but there's a lot of other stuff that I'm adding that people never even seen before. And I think the best part is seeing the pictures more than anything else. Some of these things are so rare that just seeing a few pictures is really an interesting part for everybody. Just to view it, you don't have to read about it. You just the picture look will be just amazing. Like everyone liked this 2006 book, the Playboy edition, I call it, just for the pictures. A lot of people even said they liked it better than the new one. The new one's more for information, less for pictures. The other one more for pictures, less information. So I did. This will be like combining those books and then multiplying by 3.
Okay, sounds good. So the with that kind of a throwback as well to like old issues that used to be like multi-sport and multi-topic and things like that. And sometimes because it's when I was studying a lot of baseball cards, sometimes they would have to be like, okay, so there's this card here for Ty Cobb or whatever, but actually it's a multi-sport, multi-thing. It's, Sports Kings. It's not one sport. It's like, no, there is a couple of baseball players in this, but there's also ice skaters. There's this, that, and the other thing, and boxers and all kinds of stuff, because it was sports, not just one sport.
Yeah, issued for 2 years, 33 and 34. It's funny, when I was documenting that back in the early 2000s, people didn't even realize that it says 33 or 34, and there's a little space on it. I think it's like a union label almost, and it says it right there. Nobody ever knew that. I was so surprised. Especially the baseball guys would know that stuff from that year. And then there's 2 different wrappers. They said it wasn't issued in 2 series. I said, yes, it was. There's another wrapper. And they said, well, where's that other wrapper? They thought it was a test issue or something. I said, no, it's made of glassine. I said, when you open those, it's almost like opening a cello. That's why the survival rate is so hard. In today's world, we can find them now more so because, we're at critical mass. Back then, very hard to see that wrapper. So I bought the wrapper and I felt it and I said, oh, it's a glassine. No wonder I never see one. And they're 2 different wrappers distinctively. So, you get into issues like that and that's where I delve deep into the other part of the issue. It's not just putting the cards in a list and saying this card measures this and this and has a white border and la la la. It gets into, the finite little things. And that's the stuff that slows me down in these sets. Coca-Cola cards I just finished doing, and that's the Toronto and Montreal, they had advertisement backs on some of them promoting different display stands to retailers. So we figured out that the retailers got these their accordion 18 cards in the set, and the retailers got these one with the ad back. So when they order, they go, they have card stuffers. I can get a display for my window. So all these things were on there for them, which was great. And getting all that, documenting all that extra information rather than just writing, there's this many in the set. I went from 1 paragraph that's in my book to 5 paragraphs of details. And I could have added a 6th, but then it gets a little too finite.
Right. No, that's fair. That's kind of the balancing act that you run when you're trying to get the information there, and you do have a perfectionist streak that you want to get it to be thorough, as opposed to just accepting it, as good enough and then just kind of rolling with it. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep doing the updates as we go along because you're making progress as we chug along with this. It's kind of fun because we get to have this as kind of a bit of a diversion for a lot of us. It's just like,
Sure.
yep. Otherwise, it's chugging along, doing work, and it's like, no, let's have a little break somewhere in there. So quickly, I'll get caught up on the comments here. So Vinny says, we need to speak of beef jerky given that thumbnail. I assume that was the Instant Revolution one with them. So let's do here. And I think that was Trading Places, I believe was the one. Because I think, it was. So Trading Places, memory serves me. So if pub cheese is involved, Robert, the pretzel bun goes to another level. There you go. And like I said, Vinny's very passionate. So the big unit here referenced the one that a couple of folks commented on. So grilled cheese with tomato soup. Very underrated.
That is actually probably that's a peanut butter and jam. That is apple pie and ice cream. That is classic.
Apple pie and ice cream. That one, it's like, now you're talking my language a little bit.
A little drizzle with caramel sauce.
There you go. Very nice. Very nice. So Name, Indigenous Rookie Cards is here. So good evening, Name. Thank you for popping on. I wanted to make sure I got your comment in there as well. What I'm going to do, actually, I'll have a little bit of fun with this, and I'll do it in a minute. Like I said, I've been very stringent upon limiting the amount of people that have the link. And like I said, my goal, it's the summer. Things are slowed down a little bit. We're a little quieter. We're hanging out. We're chatting, and I'm happy to do so. Like I got my drink in front of me. I got my custom mug ready to go here. Hashtag branding. But the thing is, and there's a handful of these. Carlos Senior has one of these. But there is, I think I've got one more. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with it yet, but there's another one of these that exists. So it's one of three. I may make more down the road. We'll see. But for now, 3 is good enough. Yeah.
Just like every other card company. There's 1 of 3, and then that's 1 of...
Well, I'm thinking of doing the pint glass. I decided to try the frosted mug because I like frosted mugs. So for me, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I like that. And what I've been doing, to be honest, is field testing. I want to make sure the coating doesn't strip off. Because that's my number one thing. It's like, if the thing strips off, then my quality control check has failed. Because I want to know. I'll use this thing and let's see what happens.
It looks like a frosty cold ale, which kind of, that mental note just kind of, makes it that much more tasty.
And I've been a big fan of it. So far, so good. But like I said, I'm putting it through its paces. I'm going to use it, wash it, use it, wash it. Let's see what happens. If it wears off or if the thing stays on, because it does have it on both sides, which is great. So it's like, we'll see. I'm putting it through its paces. I'm testing it. I'm not going to let anybody else use it. Carlos Senior doesn't care, so he'll just use it. But for anybody else, it's like, no, it's not going anywhere until I'm satisfied with it. Yeah, winter comfort food, Vinny says. Yes, Uncle Vinny beef jerky. So here, so I'll get through a couple of these here. So Bob says, can Bobby name one of his most prized possessions? So possessions in general, this is open-ended. I know that's a tough question on the spot, but I imagine he has a plethora of sweet stuff. And quickly, I'll tie it into this one. This one will be a little simpler. Do you have the Sportscaster cards in the book?
No, I've never documented those in the book.
Okay.
It is a never... See, this is the problem you run into, is because I document all the non-sports or other sports that are with a hockey card.
Mm-hmm.
I could only basically do the hockey. Otherwise, it would take up so much room, because that is, I don't know, it's like almost 1,000 cards and all the variations, the Finnish, the Swedish, the German, the English, whatever. It's such a tough issue. I will be adding the hockey, and that'll be
that's what I was going to ask, is that you do have a handful of, and that's one of the controversial ones, because Gretzky has a Sportscaster.
And it's
one of the big controversial
$700 for the Finnish one, I think it is.
That's right. I think that's right. Yeah.
So it is certainly worthy of it, yes. And the Sportscasters are great. I kind of like those cards. So I will be adding them, yes, but I won't be adding them. I'm trying to get through most of the stuff, the hardcore stuff, anything that I have on file. The stuff that I have to research, I'll be adding through when the site is up and running. Monthly, I'll be adding new stuff, lots of new stuff, like regional stuff, player promoted items, a lot of different stuff like these, like getting into the what are those other ones from the 80s, what was his name? Andrew Kowalczyk, and he did those cards. I can't remember.
Okay.
It's one of those issues that the postcards, and they did the little small cards. What are they called again?
Who made them? Sorry.
They were kind of by the Hall of Fame, kinda.
Oh, were they the ones with like the drawings of the different Hall of Famers? Is that kind of deal?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, because the Baseball Hall of Fame did a similar idea, like Perez Steele stuff. Similar idea.
Those yellow ones, I know those ones. Okay. Yeah, but they're not like that. They're different. Anyways, I'll be adding those.
Okay, cool.
Different other things like that. So there's there's hundreds of more things to add after the book is out or the website is up. But there'll be hundreds of things added that I haven't shown before. So the road's along, and we're just going to keep adding stuff, which will keep people coming back, but with more there to look over that'll take you 6 months to really even take in. There's that much there. So it's just like looking at my files and then I'll ask you questions afterwards. Good luck with that. It'll take you months.
Right. No, that's fair. I think that's reasonable. So quickly get caught up here. So thank you, Bob. Super chat. Part of Bobby's appearance fees. He may spend it all on Doge, Bob. You have to be careful.
I was wondering why it was green.
Yes, it is a super chat.
I'm going to spend it on a pretzel bun.
Ooh, bold move, sir. Bold move.
I don't ever taste the pretzel in the pretzel bun. That's the funny part.
I guess so. I guess it depends on what you put in the sandwich, right? Or in the burger or whatever the case may be. A lot of it will depend.
That's crucial. My friend used to get everything on his burger. He said, how do you even taste the burger? It's like having a salad on your burger. So,
well, I feel like I did. Did I ever tell the Burger King story?
No.
I felt like I did, but okay, I'll give you quickly the short version. Sure. So back when I was in university, like I said, I was always a very boring eater, always. But in university, more so, to the point that it's like even when I went to get a burger, because burgers are very difficult to screw up, my burger is very, very, very simple. I go get the burger, I want it well done, and I want lettuce and tomato. That's it. Don't care. Don't care about the rest of it. Don't care. Just lettuce, tomato, put it on it. We're done.
No moisture?
Nah. Lettuce, tomato. Look, burn the damn thing. I don't care. Kill the cow, make sure it's dead, and burn it with fire.
It says so much, eh?
Charcoal. I'll take my charcoal. But anyway, so the point is, something even like fast food wise, Harvey's lets you put whatever you want on the thing. That was part of their deal. Yeah, that was part of the deal. It's straightforward, and it made it simple, and the burger was fine for what it was, because at least you get to pick whatever you want on it.
Sure.
Well, there was a day where we were, I think we had been drinking the night before, so I was basically partially hungover, but also partially exhausted, like I hadn't slept. So good evening, have a good night, Sanderson Door. And I'll get to this question, David G. I've got it on the screen, so we'll come back to it in a second. I'll finish the story. So anyway, so I go in, and I'm exhausted and partially hungover, and I'm sitting there, and I think I fell asleep with my eyes open standing. Because usually you go up to the counter and then you tell them what you want on the burger because they had it ready to go, and they go and they ask you, hey, what would you like on the burger? And I think I was just standing there just kind of staring forward, not really paying much of an attention. And what the person interpreted this as, put everything on the burger. Everything they got, everything that wasn't nailed down, they put into this burger. And then they just kind of took it to the end and handed it to me. And then I walked back to the table and I opened it up and I'm like, wait, why is everything in the burger? And all my buddies are looking at me like, did you order that? And I go, I don't think I did, but here it is. And so they're assuming it's like, well, you're going to return it? And I'm like, I got to get up. I'll eat the damn thing. I'll eat the damn thing. No, I'll eat the damn thing. It was the greatest struggle to eat this stupid burger with everything on it, which they even put like, relish and mustard and a bunch of stuff. Like, isn't this for hot dogs? Like, what is this? They put everything they had on it. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. So that was the one time I ate a Harvey's hamburger with everything on it. Not a fan.
Burger King or Harvey's?
That was Harvey's. Yeah, but not a fan. Not everything. You got to pick and choose a little bit. You can't have everything on there. God did not intend, and I'm not even a believer. God did not intend for everything to be put in that burger. Not everything.
And that's the difference between some people. They want to get full, and the more stuff they add, the fuller they're going to be.
Look, I'll just take larger fries, Bobby. I don't
Super
need
fries.
Just get me more fries. It'll be fine. Give me some carbs with potato. We'll be fine. But yeah, it was not good. It was real bad. Real bad. The combination of things is too much.
And I have to have cheese on my burger. Otherwise, I don't want the burger.
Okay. So cheeseburger for you. Gotcha.
I just actually had those tonight. I made some, I make them fresh and do my own way. And everybody loves them. So.
All right. Fair enough. Gotcha. So David G's question was, Bobby, why is the Sports King stated to be issued in 1933 when the back of the Ace Bailey card states that he got injured in December 33?
Is the Ace Bailey 33 or 34?
It's a good question. I'm familiar with
2 or 33 and 2 or 34.
I can picture the card. I can picture the card, but I feel like it would make more sense to me to be the year after, because then referencing the previous year.
Well, here we can bring. I could share my
Sure.
screen. I'll
If
share
you
my
got,
file.
if you got it, by all means.
Let me get to the 33.
Now, one thing I'm going to do, guys, it's been a while since I've done this, and I'm just going to leave it open just in case. Nobody has to feel any pressure on this, but I'll leave it open because we'll just hang out and chat for a while. And if you want to talk about anything, just feel free to ask any questions, make any comments, whatever you guys want. So here's what I'm going to do. It's been a while since I've done this. I am putting the chat link up, and I'm going to pin it. So it is available for somebody if they want to use it. They can. Otherwise, ignore it, leave it alone, and then we'll let it be. But let it not be said it was not put there. So if you do want to come on and chat for a little bit, you're more than welcome to. I can't promise how long we'll hang out, but usually we hang out for a while. But let's see what happens. And like in the same vein, you don't feel any pressure to do so. If you have any questions or comments in the chat, feel free to do it there if you're more comfortable. Otherwise, if you do want to pop on, feel free. And you don't have to do video. You can do audio only. It does have the option if you want. You can do it from your phone or you can do it from a computer. That's your call. So I leave it to you for tonight. I won't promise that'll be the case next week. But anyway, I will say this weekend, though, this weekend was interesting because obviously we have the long weekend. I was kind of tempted to do a Sunday show, but I was like, I'll see. I'll see how I feel Saturday. But I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like having the Friday show, just chilling.
With COVID, it's been a long weekend for most people.
It is, but we got the Monday off. So, like, you know, those of us who do whatever, like having the Sunday, for some folks, Sunday's easier because they kind of wind down for the weekend. And with a long weekend, it's a little different. So we'll see. I'll think about it.
Yeah.
But I recorded the pickup video, so it's already been uploaded to the channel. It'll appear tomorrow, so during the day. So there'll be a video tomorrow anyway. So I've already got a video from yesterday, tonight's live stream, and there'll be a video in the morning. So already plenty of stuff on the channel, but we'll see what happens. Let that be said, other people may be slowing down on their content. I'm still producing content a couple of times a week, no matter what.
Yeah.
So do you have anything you want to share? Because I don't see the thing yet.
Yeah. Oh, no, I can share my screen.
Yeah, if you want to. If you got a picture of the thing, sure.
Sure.
So this is the Ace Bailey. This is the Sports Kings?
This is my whole file of the Sports Kings.
Gotcha.
We'll go through it and I'll give you
Sure.
a little tour.
Go for it.
Share the screen. Okay, let me get out of here.
Okay, so I can see you there. Okay, so
Are we there?
Take the question off. Yep, you're sharing the screen. It's all you.
So as you see, you know, I have 30s and then 33 Sports King, and then I have a final. That's where all the cropped and nice pictures are for the book and what have you. So we'll go into this and have a quick look. I'll show you exactly that spot I was talking about. As you can see on the Ace Bailey, it says CCG 1934. Now let's look at King Johnson, 1934. Now Howie Morenz is 1933. Over there, do you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, in the little circle.
And then we have.
Just out of curiosity, does it have the same years on the back? Do they stay consistent?
Well, we can look at the back, sure. Should have, yeah, it's 33.
Yep. Just want to make sure it's staying consistent. Have a good night, Paul. Take it easy.
And 33. Let's get the back of the chain there.
Yeah, it looks like 34.
34.
Yep. Gotcha.
And probably 34. There's what the box looks like.
Wow, that's a boring box.
Isn't it, though? I have a better picture of a box, but I'll show you that later. So here we go. So here's the regular wrapper. Where is it here? We'll find it. There we go. So this is your common wrapper that we see, 50 to 1 at least. Mm-hmm. And this is it. You can see that it's a silhouette of the players. And then here's the glassine one, which is very hard to find. Mm-hmm. Beautiful, beautiful, but it's glassine and it rips so easily. It's very hard to find this one. The one thing that we haven't found for here, and actually even for the other sports, is it says free pictures of famous sports kings. Now you send 50 Sports King wrappers and we'll mail you one of these players. The Howie Morenz has never been found. Okay. I think there's been a Weissmuller and a Babe Ruth. I think I have them in my files, but we've never found a Howie Morenz. And that seems almost impossible. So let me go back out and we'll look through this is all the rough stuff I do before I finalize stuff. So there's a picture of the uncut sheet. Oops, sorry. And that's partially, and you can see this is the one series because you have the Morens and you have the Short, but none of the other guys. So that was your first series, and then
Now, could this have been a nap Loageaway kind of situation, because they had that situation where it's like they never intended you to get it, but they're like, keep buying packs, you'll find it.
Very similar.
Okay,
I'm sure they did something like that.
That'd be the first thought that comes to mind. Be like, there were shenanigans played like that back in that time. It's like,
oh, well, the 20s. Look at the 20s. What they did with the short printing of the chocolate bar cards.
Sure.
And there's another Sports King box. It's a pretty box, but it's very interesting. Okay, so there's the Ruth for that mail away.
Okay, the mail away. Gotcha.
And there's another. That's a team one that's very similar, but it's not quite the same. This one kind of has a green border. That's my other book from 2006, my demonstration page of what it was. There's a pack. What's his name? That's Bear Dempsey and Kenneth Carner. Yeah, all champions. And I saved stuff in my files. This is from this was that premium photo. So I try to save as much as I can.
It'd be hilarious if one time there was one of those items where they had something like that from Gaudi or whoever, but imagine if they had used like a rare postage stamp. and all of a sudden it becomes expensive. Wait a minute. What stamp is that?
Why is the envelope worth more than the card?
It's like, what the heck? What's going on? And then somebody's like perplexed. It's like, why would you buy an envelope for that much money? Look at the stamp. Look at the stamp.
Someone wrote an article. I kept it for reference. There's the Weissmiller. So we compared the Ruth, and the Weissmiller has the same kind of border and whatnot. There's another one that's similar, and that's why I kept those other ones on file. Oh, here we go. Photographic printed 50 wrappers and big. Look at this. This is like an amazing piece.
Yeah, I think was that from one of the, because I know we looked at this similar product previously or something like it. And wasn't this from one of the auctions? Was that image from one of those, or?
Probably. Yeah.
Because we definitely looked up something like it, if memory serves me.
Yeah. And so there was an article written, Market News, Mile High, Company under tremendous hobby find. So, they got into all the cards that they found and documenting them. So I think in this article, this was so many years later, they say, oh, it's 1933 and this one was 1934. It's going, really? Okay. Figured that out a while ago. And there's a box full of packs. Just try to steal as much as you can from the internet sometimes, because here's a weird one. I don't know what's up with this wrapper. But there it is. No idea.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, you come across interesting stuff so much. So it stays in my files. I don't know what to say about it. I can't explain it. It's obviously the first series wrapper. It's not the glassine one. So why was this all there? Oh, salesman sample, test. It's just, no. I want the real answer. And that's my goodie file.
All right.
Not much to it, but there are some details in there that are kind of interesting. So
there you go. Nice. So that right there in a nutshell, guys, is the way that the live stream works, is that we can go from hobby topics to pretzel buns to solving the schism between chicken sandwiches and chicken burgers to looking at Gaudi cards
and going into my files. So there's all my 30s. So every file goes into everything.
Nice. Okay, there you go. Yep.
Down there. So every file is like that through my whole.
Okay, now just a general question. This is more kind of an open-ended question for you. Sure. You've got all these files. Do you back them up?
Yeah, it's on a separate drive, and I have a disc at my not a disc, a stick at my sister's, and and I have one here on the side, and this is actually a separate drive, and I have it on another terabyte separate drive.
No, got you. I just posed the question because obviously with the amount of information you're gathering and all that, it would be. Technology is great, but it's fallible. Like, things can happen. It's especially if you're going to put together data and do things. It's like, no backups, people, backups.
Understood.
Yeah, always good to have backups. So I'll just remove that for now.
No,
but it's always good to have some backups, because you never know, especially after you put in so much work. Yeah. It's always good to have that. So have a good night, Steve. Take it easy.
I haven't backed it up in a little while. So I'm probably due, but it's all right. Everything's saved, like for the most part. All the important stuff is saved, and everything else is salvageable.
No, that's good. That's the only reason I posed the question, because part of what you've been doing, you've put in all the work, compiling all the information, doing all that. But it's like, no, at that point, it's like, I would assume there'd be some kind of a backup, because it would make sense. Like, you don't want to. I've always been kind of sloppy about that with different work that I've done over the years, but it's like, it's just a one time that you get burned on it. The one time you put in all this work into anything.
Yeah, it's really kind of funny. A lot of people didn't save pictures. They got, like, Bobby, you got a picture of that? Yeah, I got. Because I've been saving pictures for 20 years, more than 20 years, actually. I lost them all in 2000. I did this new program that cleaned up everything. Yeah, cleaned out my whole freaking picture file. It was the early time of the internet kind of thing. So I always made sure that I kept the pictures, kept it on file. I just dumped it, that the file before you went to the final. That's my dump bin. So I have a dump bin for every issue. But then I have another one called Oddball. And that's all the stuff that I don't know what it is, or there's no real rhyme or reason for it, or it's just nothing's been documented fully on it. And that one's full of different other things. So everything's broken down. So when I have to find something, it's bang, 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 easy in, easy out, backed up well. So don't worry, we're all covered.
No, makes sense. Especially, like I said, the main reason I asked is because obviously you're going to be working on the website as you build up this. Is the stuff getting uploaded to the website as you go along? Is that or you just putting
I'm in the
together?
website right now. Yeah, I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm already in there. Yeah, I guess we're into almost to the 80s in the cards.
Okay, so that's a backup of sorts too. The website itself is a backup as well. Yeah.
And all the emails I sent to Andy. So there's another backup. So
good. Okay, so then you've got some redundancy built in. That's good.
Lots.
That's good. That makes sense.
It has to happen. As much as you get lazy, you can't get lazy with this.
No.
Although I've been lazy lately because I haven't backed up the new pictures that I've scanned or whatever, or downloaded.
For sure. But it's one of those, when you put in enough work into something you would like to have, that's part of the reason why the whole thing with the podcasting has been to make it convenient for some folks, but it also creates another copy. I've got a copy on YouTube, but I've got a copy backed up over there as well of some of these live streams. It's audio only, so somebody doesn't get the full benefit of seeing pictures and stuff. And we're not going to describe every little detail because this isn't a podcast. Yep. It's a live stream. There's real people in it. But I put the little caveat at the beginning of every episode. I literally say, like, this is an archive of a live stream. That's all it is. Enjoy it for what it is, and there's going to be banter and all kinds of stuff. But it's an archive of a live stream. You want the full effect? Go to the video, play it back, watch it. Otherwise, you can take it with you on the road. And if we say something interesting, well, there you go. You got out of it. So good evening, hockey guy.
Delving into the 33 Goody, Goudy, Goudet, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It is called 33 Goody, right? Is it called 34 Goody?
Well, there is a 34 in baseball, I believe, if memory serves me.
No, that's it.
Oh, in that one?
The sports games. No, it's called 33.
Yeah.
Why? I call it 33-4 because we have a hyphenated hockey year. So well, basketball and hockey get that, but nobody has yet ever stated that it's a 33 or 34. They won't. Why not? Like, and what the hockey guys got to do it. It's obviously 34. You see the date stamped.
Yeah.
And then it was great. David said, why is in December you got injured and it's a 33 on the card and it's December 33. It's because it's 34. And they were done, obviously, at least a month or two after. They knew that, and we're talking about pre-production time, which is probably back then maybe a month or two or three. So they had to know that in advance. So you're probably thinking March, April, when these cards came out, the second series. So the 33s came out maybe close to the end of the year. This is how we determine things and trying to date stuff. So the other ones, the first series probably came out sometime. It seems weird that most of the sports are nice outdoor sports, summer sports, cycling and what have you, that they would bring it out in the winter months, which I find hard to believe. I think they brought it out in maybe the late summer, early fall, and ran it through. And then in March or April, they brought out the second series. I don't think it was all issue, but it's hard to determine.
I think part of the what I'll say is that part of the issue I think is going to be that it's kind of what we talked about before. Like, you know, you have much stronger feelings about it than I do, but I also acknowledge it. It's what I said earlier. Different hobby authorities are not infallible. And when it comes to something that is really well researched and known, like say a T206 set, the baseball guys have known for years the T206 set was issued over 3 years. So even when you go to PSA and look at the holder acknowledges the years, the multiple years. It doesn't say 1909 T206, 1910 because they can't make that distinction. It's hard. Yeah. And we've got enough scholarship that we can at least take a stab at it. If you really wanted to, you could probably figure it out.
Pretty much.
But it's easier to say 1909 to 1911.
I get it.
That way you're covered. So in theory, this would qualify under that. Instead of trying to figure out the individual card, just say 33 to 34. And then you're covered both ways.
It works hockey. In baseball, they should do sort of the same.
Yeah.
But somebody should say something because those cards are actually dated and copyrighted. And that article rectified it all. Mm-hmm. And that article was probably 2008 or 9. My book was 2006. Mm-hmm. So I already did it then. I think I even did it in my 2003 edition. But these are the things you're always looking for when you're. It's never just what's in front of you. It's going a little deeper. And he asked that simple question. Mm-hmm. The cards are out there. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like the self-purchase. Just 5-minute research. Oh, there's the team that matches up. It doesn't take much. Some of the answers are on the back of the cards, and they've been wrong for 40 years. Unbelievable.
Well, I think part of it, to be fair, and this isn't a slight. There, you guys will know when I'm being mean spirited and giving somebody a slight because I'm happy to.
I know.
I take great pleasure and joy, but this is not one of those moments.
It's a subtle grin in the side of your face.
Yes. Yeah, but this one is just me stating it, just as a matter of factly. The reality is, you will only get stuff like that when there is an interest. A lot of these books were written. If I go to the old SCD with baseball, they started as a baseline of somebody building a catalog. Jefferson Burdick wasn't perfect, but he at least tried the catalog thing. And then people built off of that. They continued from there and then added more information. They go, let's build a checklist. And something like a T206 set has been so thoroughly researched by enthusiasts. By the way, we're still learning more things all the time.
Always.
But there are people that passionately care about this to the point that they're doing that research. They're doing surveys. They're like, all right, you're a huge collector of this. Which cards do you have? Which backs do they have? Can you send me some scans? Can you show me? And they're compiling this information and taking it all these from these great collectors. Because at the beginning, that's all it was. You're a great collector. You have a big collection of this. Can I see some of the cards and take some notes? Because that's the only way I'm going to learn. I have to look. And they're staring at these cards and trying to figure out these subtle differences. And that's how they did it. An issue like this may have similar subtleties, but nobody's looked at it that closely. And you talk about how little it would take to look at it. I agree with you. But nobody's even looked at it that closely.
Because the book has been written.
But they have to read it. And they have to have a desire to read it. Yeah. Because just because someone reads it, they're like, okay, do you want... Just because that's why I used the analogy with Dave earlier when I was talking about PSA and that. I tried to use a real life example. I tried to put it in a context that made sense for people. Exactly. And I said to them, just because somebody at the company reads it. So let's say they do. Okay, how much effort is it going to be for us to change what we've done? It would take X amount of effort. What does it matter? Will we get called out on it? Maybe by 1 or 2 people. Will most people care? Nope. Okay, so it's not worth doing.
I believe what you said with Dave, here, you've been working there for 16 and a half years, and, things that you do maybe not followed by the letter.
It's human nature. It's human nature.
I get it. So the new guy, he comes in and he wants to do everything by the letter. Mm-hmm. So we end up at this point is that Dave should be training the guy to, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do this, but you should do this because he's been doing it 16 years. He knows what he can get away with or not going to get away with. Maybe it's a better program than what is written.
Sure.
So he knows those things. And this is what happens in the hobby as well, is we have to look a little bit further, a little bit deeper. And when you're writing stuff, it's amazing. That's how I did the discovery with the York peanut butter glasses. I was doing the write-up and it just, you start structuring it in your head, and you start going, this doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start looking and thinking, and you think upon it, and before you know it, you end up with an interesting theory or an idea. And that's how we change the hobby. But nobody's, because the Beckett's already there, or the BH, well, I'll just say the Beckett or other price guides that are out there, they think it's all been done. Why would I question the experts? Why would I question PSA? Why? Because they're the professionals. Yeah. Professionals are you guys. You guys end up knowing more than all of them.
Yeah. The reason though I positioned it the way I just did is that a lot of times the next issue will come out and they'll just copy and paste. They don't review. There's nobody who sits there, because the editor in chief, the SCD catalog was good for this back in the day, because a lot of the baseball thing is because some of this stuff is so heavily researched. These people would reach out. I think it was Lou Lipset, who was one of the ones at SCD.
I remember him, yep.
And the thing is, people would reach out to Lou Lipset and go, hey, I've got this, I've done some research. Let me send you some scans, and here's what I found, and blah, blah, blah. And some of those items have so much open air to explore. A good example, I talk about T206, but I'll give you a different one. The old judge cards. Yeah, there's so many variances, some of them only exist one copy, maybe, of a specific pose, of a specific, font. And they're so specific that it is madness to even try to build a checklist. But over the years, slowly over time, I discovered this one. The font's a little bit different than that one. Yeah. Here, let me send you a picture. Yep, the font's different. That is true. That's another variation. Okay, add it to the list. So this would grow over time. But the impetus came from the collectors. So that list of contributors, every single issue would get longer and longer and longer. And people would, but it would be the same folks, some of them, year after year, contributing new pieces of information. Here's the thing, no matter how we want to position it, and I've always said this about hockey, the collectors are as passionate as anybody. The passion there's no lack of passion, but the passion still has a finite limit. Most of them are not willing to go to that. The baseball guys, for those pre-war cards, will go to the mattresses. If you guys understand that reference from The Godfather, they will go to the mattresses all the way. They will devote their lives to and basically do what you do, but they'll do it for one issue.
Yes.
They'll devote their life to the T206 to the point that they know it inside and out, print variations. They know the middle name of the third cousin twice removed of the person who printed it.
Those are the guys I like to speak to.
Yeah, but that's the depth that they'll go to because they care so much. So for them, it is intolerable that you would publish something that is incorrect, to the point that they will harass you. The hockey guys are not willing to go to that degree. They're just not.
It's okay, they got me.
Yeah, but that's basically the way it's been. But that's the differentiator. That is the differentiator right there. And so that's why some of those issues, if you look at one versus another, then you're going to see the difference. You're going to see some of those. Oh my God, the checklist is so different than last time. There's all these new additions. Yes, because some of these guys have spent the last 365 days since the last issue spending every waking moment scouring Net54. We're looking for another variation, another example, another anything, over and over again, running into brick walls for 364 days, and then finding one thing. And that's the thing they send immediately in the letter with color photographs in 5K pictures. And it's like, my God. So the editors on there are like, okay, well, it's a new variation. Let's add it in.
Yeah. And that's important.
So those get changed. They get updated. You actually see those changes year after year, issue by issue.
Yeah, that's a different issue. Now, see, with me, I could do that for 50 different issues, which is great because if I hit a brick wall, I don't like brick walls. I like having a lot of different things open. I don't like to pursue one thing because you do hit walls. And when you hit a wall, it's like, where do you go? And you could try to delve deeper, and it's a bottomless pit of, maybe I'll find the guy who worked there. Well, he's probably 89 now, so maybe I won't be able to find him, but maybe his son might remember. So, okay, this was in New Hampshire, so I gotta find a phone book for New Hampshire. Are you kidding? Where do you stop just to find that little smidgen? It's so tough. Mm-hmm. But most of that work's been done for hockey, which is great, and we can say that. For CFL too, with Andy, he's done a lot of that too. Basketball, pretty easy. I think it's easier in hockey. I think someone could do a great basketball book. Football and baseball again, very tough. But if somebody starts something and people add to it, like a community group effort, or I don't know. They have actually the non-sports forum. Have you ever seen that vintage non-sports forum?
Probably.
They've documented all, and it's a group of non-sports, like thousands of guys. They all order the wrapper. The wrapper, it's a magazine put out every 5 or 6 weeks. We started out with a hockey book. It's Les Davies, and he's been doing that since 1978.
Okay.
And they have a website, and we've contributed all pictures. So every issue has all the pictures of all the cards front and back. So you can go there, and it's a beautiful resource. And I used to be on there a lot, and I've contributed a lot of the Canadian stuff. My name's still there, but I haven't been to the site in 3 or 4 years because I've just been busy kind of working on this and stuff. So I just said, that's, I can't focus my efforts away from that. But then I came across this issue of the 100th anniversary through Lions T. And then I had to contact one of my old non-sports guy and ask him a couple questions about it, because I couldn't see the backs of the cards. I did find a list elsewhere, but I had to double confirm. I just don't like to. If I take a list off of the internet, I'm leery always, because someone will mistype something and they'll get it wrong. And I just like to have a double fail safe.
Yeah.
And then you're pretty much safe. Because so many people have copied stuff, and I think we talked about this last week, where you copy stuff from the internet and it's incorrect.
Yeah.
And then some guy sees it, and then he writes an article, and they copy it from there, and it never stops. It becomes true.
It reinforces incorrect information,
Yeah.
and that's usually the point that I was making, is that I think that's what happens a lot. A lot of it's just, well, these articles all cite this piece of information. It's like, yeah, they cite one incorrect piece of information and cite it over and over, and it reinforces the narrative of the incorrect assertion because no one else does any additional digging to confirm it. And I gave a contemporary example with that card from the late 90s where they don't exist.
Yeah.
How do we know that? Well, only because myself and other collectors who collect the same stuff, there's a player in the same set, and we were able to confirm. It's like, yeah, I've never seen one. Neither have I. When I see enough collectors that are that hardcore, that search actively, constantly, if it came around, one of them would A, have it, or B, have seen it.
Yeah.
And if the answer to both of those is no, it gives me pause. It makes me say, that could be a coincidence, but I've never seen it for any of these players. So maybe it doesn't exist. Maybe Beckett's wrong.
How dare they?
Listen, I didn't want to give you guys a shock too early in the morning, but this is what it has to be. Like, I'm sorry. It's the truth.
12:37 shock.
Yeah, in the East, yeah. But that's the thing, though. You learn those things by doing that research, and that's why you'll learn some stuff. And I showed it in the Instagram, and I did it. If I take certain things and I give it to you without context, you go, oh, okay, that's interesting, whatever. But then you add more information, you add context, it gives a little different. This is one of the highlight feature cards that I have in the mail day this week.
The Beehive-ish.
It is. It's 5x7. This is 97.98 Zenith. These are the Gold Impulse.
The Zenith, yeah.
Yeah, so the Gold Impulse are out of 100. So the number is right up there on top. Out of 100 should be fairly common. This is the second one of these that I've run across in 20 years.
I wonder why.
They just, for whatever reason, were not broken enough. Now, the thing is, the way this was designed, there's a card inside of here.
Oh, is that the tear open card inside?
You have to cut it. This is uncut. This,
That's
the
what happened.
dealer that bought this, or the individual who had it on eBay, actually opened a couple of cases of this back in 98 and had been sitting on it since 98. So he put a handful of them up on eBay. So I basically asked, hey, what's the backstory? The last one of these, the PWCC acknowledges, is like 2011, 2012.
Wow.
This is the second auction since 98 that they've got on there.
It's almost fair to say that there's some unopened product out there, of course.
Sure, but not enough. Not enough to account for that.
People cut them open,
Probably.
took the card from inside, and threw them away. So you have maybe a pop 10.
It's going to be fairly low because, like I said, this is the second of these that I have come across in more than 20 years.
Yeah.
and one of them is in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
So when the guy had it up, as soon as I saw it, I was like, well, this is one of the top. This is right at the top of my list. This is one of the grails because this thing is tough. I would have taken a cut one happily if that had been all that was available, but this was uncut. This has been left alone since 98.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, fantastic.
See, there's no motivation to leave it sealed. Because the card is the card. It's what's inside. So that's the hard part to keep people from not going in and cutting.
Well, today I will say it's changed.
Today's changed.
Only because what happens is because of the scarcity of this. So I got a good price for it. I paid $275 US for this, and then shipping. Now here's the thing: unless you pull a Z Gold of somebody good enough, you will lose money no matter who you pull out of this. There's almost nothing that you can pull out of this that will be worthwhile.
So the card inside is not rare.
Well, the thing is, the card inside could be, because the Z Golds are also out of 100. And the only card I have left, there's 2 cards that I was missing in this issue. Number 1 was the Gold Impulse. That is this. I have seen 2 of these in 20 years.
Got it.
The Z Gold, I have seen 3 or 4 in 20 years.
And that's the card that could possibly be. If
you cut this open, there could be a base card. There could be a Z Silver, where even if you pull the Gretzky, it's like a $30 card, so you've got destroyed. If you pull a Z Gold Gretzky, that's like $1,000, $2,000 card. You win.
Wow.
If you pull one of the big guys, you win. If you pull Yannick Perreault, you lose. Like most of the guys that you could pull, even if you pull a Z Gold and there's no guarantee, this could have a base card in it.
Why would they put base cards in there?
Because it was meant to be random. It was meant to be random. The whole point is dare to tear. The idea is, do you dare? This is out of 100. You already know that. So would you cut this open? In 1998, some people would have. Today, why would you?
Well, how many different stars did they do in those?
There were 80 cards in this set and
So
100 base cards in the regular set.
So 800. Oh, no. How many different players did they do in the big cards?
80 players.
Oh, so there's 800.
Yeah. Well, 8,000.
I mean, 8,000. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So 8,000. So a print run of 8,000.
Not bad.
Yeah. So it's still tough. Like it's a tough 8,000 for every player and every copy that exists.
But the regular players, they just cut open. They wouldn't just keep cutting.
So those would the population would decrease over time. Yeah. And some of these, by the way, some people collected this stuff uncut, and it's sat for the last 20 years, and it's not coming out. That's why I say like I said, this one came out from somebody who had opened a couple of cases back then, and found it, and they're like, oh yeah, I should sell some of this stuff. So they have this one. They had I forget what one of the players is, but they also had an Iserman. I was like, well, you're going to do well on the Iserman. That's pretty good too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they got the Iserman. Well, here's the thing: because it's an oversized card, it's not as exciting for some people. For me, I'm like, I must have it. It must be mine. I know how hard this is to find.
It's the collectible within the collectible. That's kind of a double thing.
Yeah.
So, when are you going to open it? On what show?
I was laughing because Seb, one of the guys that is here sometimes, he was like, open it. There could be one of the things. I'm like, Seb, there's almost nothing in it that I could possibly want. The only 2 cards that I would possibly want would be like a Wah Z Gold, a Gretzky Z Gold, or the Medano Z Gold, which is the last one that I need.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the 3 cards out of the entire print run of everything. So here are my odds. Out of all the cards that could possibly be pulled, because there are some inserts as well and stuff like that, but I could pull any of those regular size inserts. None of them are worth a fraction of what I paid for this.
So what would an Iserman be worth? One of those unopened.
Oh, one of these unopened? We're going to see. We don't know yet. The buy it now is $500.
Wow.
So it's like, to be honest, we were having a bit of a discussion on it. That should be low, but 5x7 and oversized cards are not popular. So it's one of those things, like as a collector, so I'll quickly touch on a couple of comments here. So those are stupid rare. They are. I don't chase oversized, thankfully. A lot of people don't. As a player collector, this is still in the wheelhouse. Like I needed to have this copy. I've got the regular, I've got the silver, and this is the gold. This is one of the ones that I needed. This is one of the key pieces.
That's kind of an exception to the rule.
Yeah. So it was like I knew that it was if I did like a top 5, a top 10, like it's Z Gold, the Zenith from the same year, the regular size card. The Z Gold is right there at the very tippy top. Underneath it probably would be one of these or the Run for the Cup. But it's like this is either 2 or 3. So it's like right up there at the very tippy top. The other one is also from the series because these things are tough as hen's teeth. They don't serve, like I said, 23 years. I've seen 2. They're supposed to be out of 100. I don't know where the other 98 are. Haven't seen them. And that's even going back to 98. I was around when people opened boxes of that. I opened packs of that. Never saw it.
I was opening with my son. I remember opening a couple of those. I think we bought a pack. And I don't remember what we got. He still has the card somewhere. But we didn't keep the bigger card. We just threw it out.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like, Hockey Guy's mentioning here, oversized I don't care for, and he goes, I appreciate they're rare, but they don't like the oversized stuff. And that was the case for a lot of folks. There are a lot of folks that just don't like it because it's annoying. You have to find, like, the top loader that's the right size and stuff like that, or the pages. They're not convenient. Like, these aren't as easy to house as regular cards.
It's a nice display piece you put on a tripod.
Oh, yeah, for
thing.
sure.
Yeah.
And, like, since I've got the 3 of them, I have the base, I have the silver, and I have the gold.
Gotcha.
Like, I've got, this completes that little piece. It is not easy to do. And I can say that as far as I know, I'm one of probably 2 people right now who might have it. I'm sure there's a couple of others, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about the hobby collecting. It's about availability. It's about scarcity. It's about not just having enough money to buy everything. It's chasing it. It's the chase. It's not the kill. It's the thrill of the chase. You know? Mm-hmm. So I appreciate stuff like that, and that it is a card within a card. I like that part of it too. It adds more je ne sais quoi, as we say in French.
Yeah,
a little bit more something to it.
Yeah. And that's always been the thing. And I'll see what I end up doing with it. So there's your base, regular.
Okay.
There's your silver, a little bit of silver tinge on it.
Yeah.
Unnumbered, and then there's the gold to finish it off.
They're all unnumbered.
The gold is the numbered one.
Okay.
The base and the silver are not.
So there's no protection right on those.
The other 2, no. The silver is not too bad, but there you go. So there's the 3 of them.
And they all have cards in them.
All 3 of them, and these are all uncut.
Yeah.
The seller, I will say though, just as a kudos to the seller, actually threw in a couple of extra Medanos that are cut. I've got a cut version of these as well, but it's just kind of cool. It's nice. A couple extras. Nothing wrong with that. It's cool.
Like finger puppet things.
Hey, listen. But that's just how it was. Like in 97, 98, people didn't really worry or think about that. So it's like, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, Hockey Guy, a lot of folks get obsessed about that, though. It's like, here's the thing. I don't give a crap what's in it.
Yeah.
Like I said.
You can't. You're not going to open it.
23 years. I joke. I tease Seb a little bit. I go, that's a shame no one will ever know. I could get an X-ray. Here's the thing.
Yes.
There's a very real possibility. If I saw inside and I saw that they had the Gretzky Z Gold, I'd probably still wouldn't open it. I don't care.
Confirm it, and then it'd be worth 5 times as much.
What's that?
You could confirm that it's in there through the X-ray, and then sell it for 5 times as much.
I could, but I've seen none. That won't be 50,000. I've seen, like I said, seeing 2 in that length of time is like, I don't care what's in it. The Gretzky Z Gold is the best. It is the best that you can get. Mm-hmm. And it's still like, I don't care. Because right now I have one of the few completed rainbows of that particular one.
Mm-hmm.
And the value to me isn't worth much. Like, it's not worth a bunch of extra. I was willing to pay for the card, but the Gretzky Z Gold is a tough card. It's worth a pretty penny. Not enough.
Come up very often?
No, the Z Golds don't. The Z Golds are tough because I have an eBay save search that is strictly looking for the Gold Impulse and the Z Gold. I left it open. I didn't even put Medano's name in it because I was
Gotcha.
like, let me just make sure
Just
that
in
I don't
case.
accidentally miss it. So even if somebody like mistypes Medano or something, no, I don't want to take
Exactly.
it. If it's Z Gold or Gold Impulse, I want to see it. I don't care who it is. And it tends to be a lot of generic guys. But the thing is, even the generic guys in Z Gold go for a couple $100.
Really?
Such
Wow.
is the difficulty. Yeah, even the relatively common guys will go for a decent amount.
See, and that's what I appreciate about cards issues back then. Limited print runs, things to chase, not endless supplies of cards. I think if they made more sets and made more collectible, like chase, make them harder, and it gets the money for it, obviously, in the secondary market. So it's a great. It's probably one of the nicest things you talked about card wise in my headspace.
Well, part of the reason for it is because of that dare to tear aspect. Because I promise you, some of those Z Golds are inside of common player, large ones that the person has as part of their uncut set, because there were people who built uncut sets that are probably sitting on a bunch of the rare ones inside, and they'll never cut them. Nope. And the reason is they don't care.
Yeah.
Because they've had 20 years to cut them, and they're like, it's my complete uncut set of the 80. Inside of that 80, you can think of each one of these as a pack, effectively. So people are sitting there with 80 packs. Inside is one card. You don't know what it is. It could be another common. It could be a silver. It could be a gold. It could be an insert. And that's the reason why those Z Golds don't come up, because there's a bunch of these that are uncut that will never see the light of day, and they will never cut them. And I have the same issue because, that base Medano is uncut. The silver is uncut. And the gold is uncut. So that's 3. And I've got a couple of extra silvers of the other Dallas Stars because when I got the silver, I bought it as part of a lot. I haven't cut those either.
I'm going to have to look through Steven's stuff, see if he has, because I remember we opened at least one of those. Mm-hmm. And he just put the cards away. But back in the day, they weren't worth what they're worth today, obviously.
No, because that one needed time. People needed time to be like, actually, those are kind of hard. They weren't a lot of them. How many did you guys print? Not that much. Not as much as you think. Actually, a lot less than you might think. And it turns out we made it even harder because some people never opened them, so those never saw the light of day and they never made it out in the market.
Yeah.
So the people that saw that were like, they hoarded them. For many years, there have been rumors out there that are a handful of collectors out there that probably grabbed every one of them that were out on the market in card shows and stuff like that early. And they were just like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll give you $30 for that or $50 for that or whatever, way higher than the going rate was at the time. They were just like, boom, hoover them up. And then they're sitting there somewhere. You don't see them. But the thing is, even if they came out into the market, it's like, actually, there's still a lot of people that are like, I have been waiting decades, plural, to get one. It's like, I'll pay whatever. Like I said, I was willing to make the guy a good offer, and he goes, no, it's like, well, just make me an offer. To go, here you go. Here's your offer. He thought about it, and he goes, yeah, you're good.
Perfect.
Sweet. I'll take it.
Nice. That's a nice acquisition. See, that's the ultimate chase, actually. But stuff like that, where I just don't like when you go on eBay and you see 50 of the card that you're looking for, and it's just a matter of money that's the determining factor. The stuff that I chase is generally a waiting game, or finding it, or seeing it. You just never see it. Rarely comes up. And having the opportunity, which is a big word in this hobby, to get it is exciting, and it doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, and that's the reason why, there are still, in that late 90s period, there are certain cards that fall into this category that, as people get educated on them, I say, you would be shocked how difficult that actually is. Because, someone who's been collecting consistently since that time, all I can do is my frame of reference. I've been looking and looking and looking. I've checked eBay over years and years. My eBay account is 23 years old, 24 years old. It could drink years ago. It could drink in the U.S. years ago. So it's like, consistently looking, not every day, all the time, but for the last couple of years, definitely I have. But it's like, if I do not see them ever, it's not that they were too expensive and I couldn't afford. I just didn't have the option. I couldn't even make a play on it. I couldn't make an offer. There was nothing to make an offer on. And that's how you know the differences between, oh, is it scarce? It's like, listen, man, I can buy 5 of them. If I go on eBay right now, I can buy them. It'll sit there and it'll until I feel like making an offer because there's no other buyers. This stuff, as soon as some people see certain ones, they get snapped up immediately. That's how you know the difference. Because the people who know, they know. They know. So we'll see.
That's me.
Anyway.
I'm always waiting to snap up the stuff that people don't know. Like I was saying, talking about shows, walking around shows, I see something on the table, I go, oh, how much for that? Oh, it's $15. Okay, and what else is there? Okay, and add another $5 or $10 worth of stuff and give it all to me. And because I always buy a few extra things just to justify the, well, that guy bought that, but can't remember the 3 things I bought, so maybe he'll forget.
That's what happens though sometimes. It's that's sometimes it takes a long time, and sometimes you get lucky.
Yeah.
Because the one that I talked about, I've shown it off in the past, was the StarQuest Gold, because that was in the same era. That was a low-end product. But it's out of 100 and a low-end product. Oh, who cares? It's like, well, actually, do you know how many boxes they made? Do you know how many cases you can open and not pull a single one? There's only 30 players in the checklist. There are 100 cards. That's 3,000 cards over cases and cases and cases and case. You're not going to pull one. You'll sit there it's like, no, you're not pulling one. The likelihood is, nope, not going to happen. Now, it took years because nowadays, there was a Medano that got up for auction the other day. It sold for comfortably over $600, almost $700 US. I bought mine for 60 Canadian well over a decade ago when no one cared. Nobody knew. But I knew as soon as I saw it, I was like, I know that card.
Yeah.
I will take that. I'll take that right now.
Now you're 10xing it.
Yeah. More than that because it's 600 US. 600 US. I bought it for 6 Canadian. So more than that, you can tack on a little extra, yeah.
Dollar's down though now, right?
It is, but it's still a premium over the Canadian.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, if you sell something in US now, and if you do the deduction of the fees and everything, you're basically even. Yeah. In Canadian dollars.
Yeah. But that was the thing. Like at the time that I bought it, that wasn't the expectation. But it's like it happens. That's why I say there are some folks out there that are looking for their player and they have my sympathies. I was just fortunate to be able to get it at the time. It was long enough ago that people didn't know. They were ignorant of that, and then the dealer that sold it had no idea what they had. I did. I bought it, and I knew at the time that I go, this will be. That's why it's not on my checklist. It's a centerpiece card, but I already have it. I've got most of the centerpiece cards that you would want for the Medano collection. There isn't a lot left in the 90s that I need. The ones that I need, though, they're all tough.
Yeah.
They don't show up every day. That's why when one of them comes across my desk, I'm like, I will take that.
Are there any StarQuest Golds on now?
Probably. They're usually a handful here and there from time to time. Let's see. StarQuest Gold. The ones that are always interesting are the basketball ones, because those ones have caught up price-wise. They are. There's no question or doubt on those anymore. There always used to be a little bit of questions. Oh, I forgot. They updated eBay so they don't do by sport anymore. Well, actually, they do. They do on the side now. It's not in categories. It's okay. Yeah. So let me do ice hockey and let me do basketball together. That way I can see. There we go. Now we're talking. Okay, so let's take a look here, and let's do. Most
of my searches are all of eBay. It doesn't matter because people put things in the wrong category all the time.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. Okay, so let me see if I can find.
I never know what I'm looking for until I find it. Nowadays.
Well, it's one of the advantages. Like your approach is a lot broader.
Sure.
The one advantage, and this has always been a struggle for Dave. Dave is a player collector, but he's also a player collector who has a lot of interests. And the problem with that is it creates this little problem where he's like, okay, you have a lot of interest. So which one did you want to pursue today?
The never-ending story.
But it does make life a little bit more difficult. It's one of those things. It's like, yeah, you just made life a little bit tougher than it had to be, but it is what it is.
I picked up a card recently.
Okay, so this is what, Weezer?
Weezer. It's Mike Walton.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
a promo card. The Weezer was one of those tops with the geometric spinning device inside. Anyways, they had a game, and this game was promoted through. And then there's a music. There's a Cornway. There's a Mike Walton, there's a Cornway, and Walt Kachuk. And I'm going, wow. So there must be more. And it's tough stuff. 1971. Sitting there going, geez, the stuff you find, it's just, you don't even know what you're looking for until you find it, like I was just saying. I went, Weezer. I seen the card, I looked at it, and I went,
See, when you're saying Weezer, I was thinking the band.
Buddy Holly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the Hashik. This was sold recently, $750. So same set,
wow.
same
Look
concept.
at
Yeah,
that.
yeah, like the.
I've seen those cards, yeah.
Yeah. Like they're out there. It's one of those ones. So let me go backwards though. Let me close that for a second. And I will. And this was the one that was Hockey Guy was referencing a specific auction. Like this one was a fun one. So Hashik, Medano, some of the bigger names, you know that. That makes sense. You get it. So, but let me show you this one, and then I'll show you the price. Okay. So Sergei Samsonov. So this is a set of the 4 different colors of Sergei Samsonov. The blue is the most common. The green is the second most common. The red is about one a box, approximately. A little bit rare, but still not rare. They're not too difficult. Most of those can be had for $1 or $2. Not a big deal. But then, of course, you have the gold. The gold is the 1 out of 100. It is the toughest piece. For any player, there are only 30 players in the checklist. But, so this little grouping of Samsonov, $705 US for the set of them.
Just one card, really, for the most part.
It's really, yeah. I was joking about it. It's like, man, I can't believe they paid $600 for the red one. Man. Yeah, here we go.
Samsonov, he was a big. He was supposed to be big. I remember when, me and
1
my
to
son
3
did a lot of
bucks,
stuff, and when he was coming up, but he never really went too far. It was great.
Oh, for sure. Like there was a moment in time. The thing is, not today, and that's kind of the thing is that yes, there was a time and a place where it made a lot of sense, but that time has passed. It passed some time ago. It was very strange, very bizarre, and there's a good one here that I wanted to show. Let me see if I can find it here. A couple different ones.
I bring my son to my sports card / comic dealer, and I would be used to just picking up supplies because he never had anything for me. But I'd bring Stephen along, and we'd buy a pack, a $35 pack, a $20 pack, a $50 pack every once in a while. And we both open and have some fun together. So I do remember quite a few of those guys in and around that time period, 98, 99, 2000.
So this one here, it was a best offer, but I'll give you the total of what it actually sold for. So this is Tim Duncan. And so basketball has taken off quite a bit. The Tim Duncan sold for $1,050 US. Now, Tim Duncan just got to the Hall of Fame and everything, pretty good. But the basketball ones are nuts. The Kobe sold for $8,000 a couple of months back.
So are people grading this?
In some cases, yeah. I will say though, they are prone to chipping a little bit. I can tell you mine has a little scratch on it. If I did grade it, it would grade low.
Gotcha.
But it would be a case where I would grade it just for the holder, just to put it in. I don't really care what it grades. I know the scarcity of it. If I put it up on eBay, it would sell for multiples, scratch or not, multiples of what I paid for it, just because it's we're not finding it.
So they're so rare that grading doesn't even really affect it.
No, it's just to put it in a nice case. Put it in a nice case with a label. That's all it's for. It doesn't add anything to it, but it's no, you just have to understand what it is. It's difficult.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so people that ironically collect Patrick Stefan, that's true. Pavel Brandl and Milan Kraft, yes. Hockey's fun because you'll have people that will collect obscure names on purpose. They will be it's why are you collecting this obscure random player that had a cup of coffee in the NHL? It's but you're a super collector of them. You collect
Ron
everything.
Plum. My friend collects Ron Plum.
Yeah. But in hockey, that's a normal thing. That's The other sports have tastes of that, but no, hockey has like a hardcore dedicated fan base of folks that it's like, I got the greatest collection of this third line grinder. Okay then. Why?
Some people just want to be different and do their own thing.
But it's also maybe they were like sometimes these are like team and hometown heroes. It's like it goes back to what I said earlier. Modano was a great player in his day. Was he the best player? No. But was he amongst the best players of his era at the time? Yes, he was amongst. He was not at the tippy top of that. There were guys that were higher up than him in the pecking order. He's like in a second tier or a third tier, depending on who you ask. But he was my favorite.
Yep.
That's why I'm collecting him 25 years on. Not because he was the best in that era, but because he was the one that I enjoyed watching. I have memories associated to. That's the nostalgia piece. I have memories associated to watching him play and enjoying him playing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though he's been retired for years, I'm still looking for this garbage. Like this far on, and I'll pay good money to get this stuff in my possession because I want it.
You got it. That's a collector.
And that's collecting. Because if it was about value, my God, there are better ways to spend your money.
A lot better way. So
Much better ways. But that's okay. That's why it doesn't concern me, the flows of the market. It's like, trust me, I'll do my thing. So hockey card investor. So good evening. Rocking the tank top. The guns are blinding. They're loving the guns, Bobby. They're loving the guns.
I guess so.
Yeah, there you go. Sounds good. All right, guys. So here's what we'll do. We've had some fun. We've avoided a schism between the chicken sandwich and chicken burger situation because that was touch and go for a second. That was real touch and go. We covered some critical food issues. That's important. We also talked about 33 Sports Kings a little bit. We threw a little bit of knowledge in there as well. Nice, a good traditional live stream. I like having that blend. It's like actually there was some good stuff in there. If you guys follow through, there's some good stuff in there in between the chicken sandwich talk. So we definitely get that in there. So is there anything else you guys want to touch on? Any last minute comments? And then we'll wind her down and call it an evening. So I'll leave that. I'll give you guys a minute. Nobody took me up on the link. So next week, there probably won't be a link. I offered, I gave you the chance.
Maybe someday. Maybe someday, right?
It's one of those things where I'm not going to do it all the time, but it's like, I'll allow it when the occasion presents itself. Like I said, I do understand that things are quieting down for the summer a little bit. Some folks are taking advantage of the weather and being out and about. I don't blame them. I get it.
It's been quieting down since February, end of February.
But that's the thing is that I don't think, I think it depends on what sector you're in, because I think for some of them, it was stayed pretty consistent but then we'll talk about all this, right?
Yeah, but that's a high end market.
Exactly.
And it's always going to stay out there. New records and what have you.
Yeah, there will always be an element of that. And even if it dips down from all-time records, if it's still selling for multiples of what it was 6 months ago, is that really an issue?
It will.
To me.
No, it shouldn't be an issue.
No. And that's the thing.
It came in hard and fast. Actually, it was a slow kind of growth, but it was steady and increasing fast. But then we hit bam, and then bam. Now we're hitting slowly on the back end.
Like I said, I think there's profit taking. I think there's some folks who got in cheap who are like,
oh yeah,
this is good enough for me. This is life-changing money.
Yeah.
If you had that Jordan and you had like 10 grand into it from 5 or 10 years ago and you can sell it for 300 grand. Oh my God, that's lower than 700. It's like $300,000 is a lot of money for most people.
Some people just take it and just
that's life-changing.
I don't care. I'll take 200,000, 250, whatever.
And for them, it's like, I did great.
Yes.
I did phenomenally well. So they're not complaining. They're just counting their money and trying to figure out what they want to do with it now.
And screwing up everybody looking at comps going, what?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, the folks that bought it 4, 5, 6, 700,000, well, it sucks for them.
Yeah.
But for the person who bought 10 years ago, they don't care.
Wasn't there a Charizard card in the
There was. Yeah.
How did that finish?
Here's what I'll do. I'll since I ignored it most of the night, I'll do it right at the tail end real quick because I do have the link. I can do it. Which chicken sandwich is the best? We're going to wait for Dave to cover that one. Baseball has too many no-hitters. This year they do. There's been a lot of them this year.
Chicken sandwich will be a fleet tomorrow. I'll let you know next week.
Yeah, it'll be
or Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Like I'm not opposed to it. Like I said, because the Monday's off, I'm not opposed to it. I might do like a trim down line. Let's put it this way. I'll reach out to some folks. If they are interested in coming on and hanging out for a bit, I'm okay to do it. Why not? But I don't think I'll do it as long as some of the Sunday ones have gone. I think I'll keep it shorter on purpose.
Yeah,
But we can have some fun. That's fine. I don't mind chatting. It's all good. Okay, so there's a couple of Charizards. So I'll show you one and then I'll show you the other. So this one is a Japanese Charizard. It's a little bit more obscure. It's a PSA 10, sold for 192,000. But the one that most people are thinking about when they think about the Charizard, and I'll scroll down, there is another one. There's a Jordan that went for 456, but it was a PWCC-A with a sticker on it.
Oh, I had the A on it.
Oh, yes, the fanciness. Okay, here you go. Here's the first edition Holo Charizard. That's the one you conventionally think about. That's the Sasha T card.
Sasha T card.
Yeah, so that's your Sasha T card. 240,000, which is still a lot of money. Like, however you slice it, it's still a lot of money. It's not the absolute peak. It's not the apex that it's been, but it's still a good chunk of change.
What did Sasha pay again? Was he at?
It was like a cash and trade.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's kind of a good segue to kind of what Dave and Steve want to talk about, because one thing I'll throw at them, and I'll let everybody know in advance, there's trade, and then there's cash and trade. So do you consider that's still a trade as well? Do you consider that as a kind of a variant of it? Do you treat it as its own thing?
When you're at the high end, there's not.
That's a tactic. Some people don't want to put in all cash, or they don't want to do all trade. Sometimes they'll mix in a blend of the two.
Yeah, but when you're at the high end, it's not like you picked out a $10,000 card that you got for $2,000.
Sure, no, for sure.
So they probably made $1,000 here, a couple grand on this card, and then they can average up, and it'll help them save in the long run. But it's very hard to do trades at that high end where you can really kind of count here. Well, how much is it down? What was Sasha T's number again?
It was actually, I want to say it was pretty close. I don't think it was that much crazier. I think he had aspirations of it being much higher, but I don't recall what the exact number is. I'll see if I can find it for later to try to refer back to it. But I know, I don't think it's that far off. It's less, but it's not like that far off. One thing I was going to say,
his number is less than 18, or this.
Well, the combination cash trade was definitely more. It was definitely more than 240.
Oh yeah.
In terms of cash trade combination. Yeah. But one thing I was going to say about that is also when you do the cash trade thing, I think, and this is just going to be interesting. This goes back to the comps thing. There's two parts to this. One, when you're doing a trade, let's say you're doing a straight trade, what you value the components of the trade at, the comps that you try to use for that becomes extremely relevant all of a sudden. Bring it back to that comps conversation, because it's like, all right, but the last one sold for X. Oh, but I think it's going to go for Y. Oh, and then the back and forth. So you're basically having an argument about each individual component to establish the price that is the trade price so that you can figure out and make the trade even. So you are incentivized to make your card worth less so that my trade value is higher so that I can try to, and then you are going to try to do the reverse with me so that you can try to get more out of the deal or get some cash thrown in or whatever. So there's this whole back and forth where it's like, you basically have to horse trade and debate each individual component of the deal. Mm-hmm. And it creates this unique thing, because I think at the card show level for some of these high-end items, I think cash trade changes hands less than people think. Because I think there are more people who are trying to trade up, and they'll say, I'll include cash, but will you take this card and cash, as opposed to, will you just take all this stack of cash for the card? There's definitely people that do that, but I feel like that's less common than people would like to think. And we only get a sliver of it from those vlogs because you're going to showcase, you're going to show off, right? Big stack of cash. I think trades are more common than people like to think with a cash trade combination.
Oh yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and then how do you do that comp on that? Because it depends on what you consider your card to be in trade, because it fluctuates too.
Well, Sasha did do. Remember, he said he went higher on a comp on something. He says, "Well, I kind of believe this to be probably about here because of this, and that." Okay, yeah, so correct. He got like, I don't know, was it $4 or $5 grand more?
Yeah, it was something like that. But that's why I say, like, that matters. The components of it. Because that's the actual value. It's not, if it was a cash deal like this, if I'm paying $240,000 for this Charizard, at the moment that this sale completed, it was worth $240,000. That's it.
What's the pop on that again?
It was, I want to say like 100 and something.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'd like to see in the next 6 to 9 months how many the pop is, because I think I talked in your show about that pop should go pretty high. Yeah,
but the thing is, because of the foil, I would like to see if it would. But I don't know if now, mind you, if PSA is grading hard on the more modern,
Mhm.
maybe no more PSA 10s, Bobby.
That's it.
Yeah, it's like none of you can have a PSA 10 Charizard. What?
Exactly.
Yeah. So real quick, I'm gonna find the holo here. I think.
Like I wish somebody would have went through all the pops and would have done a comparison, a year comparison.
A year comparison, right?
We'll do a 5-year comparison and then do
Okay, so it
1
peaked
year.
in March. It peaked in March at just shy of 400,000. That was the
400K.
Charizard. Yeah. So the pop is 122 right now,
Okay.
which isn't too bad. So it's fluctuated a little bit from there. It was at 350 as of like the end of April, and then obviously the most recent sale is this one here. We're looking at it to 240.
That's a lot.
Oh, for sure.
So
But,
anybody who got in at that point, away from such, just all the investors who kind of just went, I'm in. Like,
Yep. But here's an important factor, though. Because it wasn't a cash deal, because it was a cash and trade deal, if the cards he traded also went down in value, which they likely did, it probably evened out. Because that's the real question, right? If I trade you $100,000 worth of cards and you trade me a $100,000 card,
yep.
and your card goes down to 75,000, and my cards that I traded you go down to 75,000, we're no better or worse off than we were.
No.
Even though like it feels bad, but it's not like you gained or I gained. It's we're at about the same spot we were before. Because in relative terms, what we traded.
Yeah, competition control is real.
Yep.
The man on the moon. There's the Gretzky box one for 144K.
Yep, I did see that as well. Yep. I wanted to quickly touch on this one. So as you can see here, you got a PSA 10 SB Authentic Tom Brady. So that's $113,995 too much. Just throwing it out there.
Gretzky, what was this?
It's got to poke a little bit.
So the 9 went for. Ooh, okay, so that's on. It's still doing okay.
That's a PWCCA though. It's got the sticker.
Oh, I forgot.
It's got the sticker. Come on, sticker.
Yeah.
I like this one. I like this one. I'm not in the market, but I like the Old Mill Ty Cobb PSA 6. That's pretty sweet. 21,000 bargain. Guys, the Old Mill is a tough back. Just so you know, the Old Mill is a tough back, and Ty Cobb is a tough. And by the way, a 6 is a nice card. I'm sorry. I feel like this is a bargain. Forget about the rest of this crap. This here, 21,000. That's a pittance.
I think you said it right, because you look at $432,000 for National Treasures. That's really, like it's
Look, man, if you got the money, so be it. But like, I'll take that Cobb at 21 grand. Like that's, like I know that Cobb is tough. I know it is.
See, that seems reasonable.
Like for what it is, it's not bad. It's a premium. It's a nice vintage card in nice condition with a tough back. I think that's pretty good. Saw him blow out his big repatch. That's possible.
So that National Treasures is like having 20 Cobbs and 6s.
Yeah, I would take 20 Cobbs.
You know, that's the ridiculous part about it in my book for new cards. Just the prices of some of these for just a card that just they made, and they went, no, a short printed. All right. Put a little foil, put a little autograph. Yeah.
We always joke about the modern cards. Here's what's interesting, though. I'd be curious about this one. This is a PMG, Kobe Bryant, PSA Authentic. Yes, it is very, it is authentic, but PMGs are very popular, and Kobe obviously is very popular, especially these days. I feel like 78 grand's not bad. Because the red, I'm trying to remember. I think the red PMG is, the card is out of 100, but I think the red PMG is out of 90 because I think the green is out of 10. And what they did is they combined the two to get the 100 print run. And it's part of the same numbering scheme. So like the first 10 are the green and the rest are the red, I believe, if memory serves me. I could be incorrect. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's correct.
It's hard to remember it all.
There's a lot of things at this point, especially. So you got the 50, you got a PSA 5 mantle for 108. I like that. I like that. It's not bad.
It's kind of a weird number, because you can get a 1, like if you look at what a 1's worth, opposed to, because you can get like 15 grand for a 1 and 15, 20.
I was going to say, you can probably get more for a 1 right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
Yeah, and for a 5, that feels good. And this seems like a decently centered 5. Like, not terrible, not bad. I'm not
it's
offended.
nice eye appeal for sure.
Yeah, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on this guy. 1 second here. I would love for them not to mess around. That's not bad. Still off center.
No, that's a really nice. See, that's
a clean copy. I like it.
Yeah, very clean. No surface blemishes or what was that, a 5?
That's a 5.
Is it corners? Something like that?
It could be. Let's see the back here. Yeah, a little more off center on the back. There's a little touch in the corner here.
Touch in the corner, yeah.
But nothing I'm offended by. Touch here as well. But I'm from an eye appeal standpoint, like I'm not offended by.
Well, there's staining, isn't there, across the bottom back?
It looks like it looks like discoloration here for sure.
And I was going up a little bit more along the edge.
Yeah, but you can also see here if you look, it looks a little hazy here, like a dark haze.
And the bottom edge on the right side.
Yeah, maybe it could be like a wax stain or something. Yeah.
All across the bottom edge, sort of a dark tan where when it goes up and you see the rest of the card, it's a lighter tan. See,
there's your staining.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that could very well be the case here.
S2.
Yeah. What I will say though, like for me, I'm not in the market, but from an eye appeal standpoint, if I look at this mantle up here on the front, it's a nice card. I like it. All things considered, I wouldn't be offended. Again, not in the market, but you compare it to the Giannis over here, which is a nice card. But I'm like, I'd rather have this guy right here for 108, save $6,000, and have a nice dinner or something.
Yeah, my condo or.
So let's see here. Let me quickly scan. I'll just check and see 1 or 2 things. Oh, you got the Star Charles Barkley. That's cool. Quickly check it out here.
That's getting respect.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Mike Trout. That should be like 42,000 yen at most. Junk.
It's going to be the next big.
Yeah, the next injured Babe Ruth. He's out 6 to 8 weeks with another injury.
Jeez.
So he'll be the next Babe Ruth when he actually starts playing consistently.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Mantle rookie and a 7. Those are tough, especially if they're decently centered. The Jackie Robinson. Nice. Yeah, the Mantle rookie, these are tough to get in decent shape with a decent centering because a lot of these are pretty bad.
High grade. Wow, it should one for more than 108. Comparatively speaking,
I feel like the vintage. Now again, this is a new thing with them, with PWCC. This is their first premier auction. Yeah. I feel like the vintage might have gone cheap, relatively speaking. This one's off-centered a little bit too much for me, but it's still a nice-looking card.
So, yeah, I'd have a hard time paying $39,000 for an off-centered card like that. Or perfectly centered, for that matter.
Well, I think for the Jackie, I think it's the 52 tops is so popular. I think you can justify it if the centering's there. Here you go, SPX Grand Finale Jordan, 51,000.
Look at the Portugal. Oh my gosh. What the hell?
Come on, man. You got to have a Cristiano Ronaldo. 120 grand, Bobby. Cheap. Let's go.
This is so unrealistic.
Oh, here you go. An SGC. Willie Mays. SGC 8. Okay.
You can see that sudden rise, or extremely large rise, hurts the other people on the way up because that's why cards are dropping in value. People are losing money because they went in for all this big hype on these cards, thinking that a 9 will be just as good or an 8 of the same card, and it's just not working out for them. So you're going to see that.
Yep. All right, let's do these 2 to finish off. We'll have a little fun with these last 2, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, first one. We got a Kobe Pristine 10 with greening.
Oh,
I love it. 42,000. Where Kobe is the Incredible Hulk. Check it out. And that's really ugly greening too, because you can see it's not even. Like you can see his skin tone is fine here. And then it's green here, and then this guy here as well is green a little bit, but not his leg. Like it actually looks really ugly. It really is ugly. I'll be honest, just from an eye appeal perspective. By the way, the technology, this is going to happen with most of these cards. It's a factor of the manufacturing. It is real. But it's not appealing visually to me. I understand it, but it's just not a good look. It doesn't look good.
The black background doesn't work with the green.
Yeah. Because
dark
you end up with
colors.
a situation where you're paying 42 grand for a card that's just odd. It just doesn't look. And by the way, it's going to happen to a lot of these cards anyway. Yeah, it's very much greening. Yeah, exactly. So
Gross.
it's I'm not a fan. Like I can't co-sign on this. I don't care what the market says. Like it's just an ugly looking card. And that is a pristine 10. And it's got 3 10s. So 10 for surface, 10 for edges, and 10 for centering. So 0.5 points off of being a black label 10.
Wow.
All right, now we got a Walter Payton pristine 10 BVG.
See, he's my guy. He was amazing.
So
Probably
right.
the best running back.
See, I don't like that you don't have subgrades. That's terrible.
Yeah. Why?
The whole point of this whole
Is it the
BVG,
later one? Oh, the BBG. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, not a fan. Let's see here.
Centering's pretty good.
Left to right, it looks fine. It's not bad.
It's a little tilted. Top and bottom?
Just checking here. Looking at that.
Hard to tell on that. But
yeah, it's probably a tilted
pretty
cut.
close.
It's probably a tilted cut. Still a clean looking card, all things considered. Not too bad. Let's see the back.
I like the backs. It's really nice. The orange and the blue. Beautiful.
It's a nice card. I'm not complaining about it. Let's put it this way: 48,000 for this one, and 42,000 for the Kobe. I would rather have the Walter. Like it's aesthetically, it's a prettier card. They're both pristine 10s, so it's as close to apples as you're gonna get. But it's your vintage versus your modern. But like I said, the greening is really hideous on that card. Not a fan.
One survived quite a few decades longer than the other one.
Yeah, like you see here.
Yep.
This one here doesn't have any greening of any kind. I don't think. Yeah, actually, it's the same card. Hold on.
No way.
Yeah, this is 96 Topps Chrome Kobe. Yeah. So there's your pristine 10 with greening.
Ooh.
And here is a PSA 9 mint. By the way, sold for more. The PSA 9 sold for more. But you will notice a great difference. I think this is a refractor. That's probably part of the factor too. But you can see there, Kobe and the other guy defending him.
Mm-hmm.
No greening.
Nothing.
Yep. It's just a cleaner looking card, and it is the refractor. I think the other one is the base. So, but just a better looking card. You can see that's what the card should look like in terms of Kobe and the other guy.
Yeah.
And then compared to that Incredible Hulk thing a second ago.
Mhm.
So I get it. They are two different cards, so my apologies. One's a refractor, one's a base. But still, this one is not with the greening, and the other one was with the greening, and it's just not a good look. There you go. So there, we even covered a couple of PWCC cards. Looked at a couple different ones. There you go. You got a little bit of everything. So that is it for another Friday night into Saturday morning. Thank you all for hanging out, those of you that hang out in the chat. Hockey Guy got to dominate the chat there at the tail end, so I did catch a lot of that. But anyway, thanks to the rest of you that popped in throughout the evening. Thanks for Dave for popping in as well. He has an early start, so I appreciate him coming on for a little while and hanging out. So it's fun. We'll see what happens. If you guys do have the Instagram, keep an eye on it. If I do decide to do the Sunday thing, I'll let everybody know in advance. I won't. It won't be a last second thing. I'll take a day to think about it if I decide to go. Otherwise, if that is not the case, the next live stream is exactly what it says on the bottom. It's going to be next Friday, the 28th. Same start time, same general idea. We'll see how it goes. Either way, those of you who celebrate, have yourself a good long weekend. Enjoy, have fun, and enjoy your Saturday morning. We will catch you in the next one.
Stay cool. Good night.